beats, they are hard.
Down in the valleys, whoa, there is a place I want to go. The name of the place ringing in my ear, Atlanta, 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 Atlanta is the land of the purple and gold. Oh, the land of the purple and gold. Better get there.
Welcome to the BCSN SportsWrap. A.D. Drew, Jamie Walker, SJG here with you tonight. Brian Fulfer decided he wanted to be like a few other people this weekend, be a glutton for punishment, as he decided to go watch the Colts lose to the Jaguars by a score of 36-19. So he's on his way back to Orlando. He should be joining us in the second hour. But while we wait, I had to get my D2 brethren in here to help me out get through this first hour. Look, while you're out there, I need you to like and subscribe to this podcast, and not only just this podcast here on the Black College Sports Network, but all HBCU sports content. Jamie Walker, HBCU Wired, HBCU Game Day. Where can they subscribe to you at, my brother?
I mean, HBCU Wired on YouTube. I mean, I use it as a supplemental platform, but I'm kind of doing work for everybody, man. Steven is gracious enough to host me and Sly on the SIAC sit down. So kind of doing our thing on that, man. That's been pretty good this year. But man, I'm kind of all over the place. Just hit me on IG and Twitter, Sport Voice JW.
And of course, the man who needs no introduction, the founder of HBCU Game Day, Mr. Stephen J. Gaither. You're on mute, Steve.
Appreciate you for having me. Yeah, thanks so much, AD. It's a pleasure to be on with you guys.
All right, thank you. Appreciate you. And fellas, let's see how quiet the chats are today after what happened on yesterday, my guys. Wait a minute, hold up. I'm getting a phone call. What you say, John? You said the tickets that the Jackson State people bought are still good for this weekend, despite the fact Jackson State is not playing. They can still come on down to the game in Atlanta. All right, man. I'll make sure I let them know on the podcast. You see, good flights out of Houston for those Prairie View people, and good flights out of Dallas. And the hotel rates are still good. All right. Last thing. Don't let the BAC outdo y'all because the other people aren't there. Okay, BAC folk, we need y'all to show up also. I'll make sure I tell everybody, John. All right, my fault, y'all. Had to take that call from the other boss man.
You're a fool, lady. I mean, but look. I mean, you can. You can, everybody. You can still attend. You know, my alma mater, you know, 4-time champion. Got to include that in there as well. We still come to the Celebration Bowl.
Y'all not even in the HBCU conference anymore.
Exactly. It's a beautiful event, man. Come through anyway, regardless of whether your team is in it or not. It's a, you know, I always call it the HBCU media family reunion. So come on through anyway, regardless. If you got your flights already, can't get them canceled, come on through. Atlanta always glad to have you.
All right. Well, since I got my D2 brethren here, let's start off on the Division II level, everybody. And let's start off with this one right here. Man, Jamie Walker, great job. Well, once again on the play-by-play for this particular game, Jamie, doing this game on ESPN Plus for the SIAC. But Jamie, I thought a game of Madden had broken out when I was watching this game live. You know when you sit down and get on the sticks and you've never played somebody before, and they got those 2-3 plays that they run on you, and they get them couple quick 3 touchdowns. Well, that's what Albany State did. Jumped out on Newberry 21-0. And they figured them out. They started sitting on that route, like on Madden. And then next thing you know, Newberry ran off 31 unanswered points from the second quarter through the third quarter on the Golden Rams before the Golden Rams were finally able to put up a field goal at the end of the third quarter, and had a great drive there to try to tie the game in the fourth quarter, but was unable to as time expired and less than 20 yards to go for the game time score. So Jamie, you did the play-by-play. I'm gonna let you start.
Man, it was so unfortunate. I think when you get out to that quick of a start, and let me thank my partner Marvin James, who did a phenomenal job as well on the color. But you know, when you get off, because new coming in, looking at Newberry, looking at the film, looking at their stats, kind of putting everything together, seeing what they've done, looking throughout the schedule. It was a thing where Newberry was coming in hot, red hot. They only lost to Catawba all year, but all their games, I would say the vast majority of them were close, where they would pull out victories at the end. You know, they were, I even called them the cardiac wolves. So it was one of those things where they would never say die. And I told my partner that. I said, look, it's 21-0, got up to 21-3. And I said, this game is far from over. Reed Sharpia, the quarterback from Newberry, is a Harlan Hill finalist. And he is a really good signal caller. It's one of those things where he, you would never know he is as good as he is by just looking at him. Slight, probably 5'8", maybe 170 pounds, and talking to his head coach beforehand, he said you would never know he was a football player. But, he transferred a couple of times, got to Newberry, liked it. And for the most part, he settled into the role and just has played great ball. So when it got to 21-3, I said, this game is far from over. I even said it on the broadcast. It was a thing where, Newberry, other than their last game against West Florida, didn't get out to fast starts at all. So, the game, was far from over. And slowly but surely, after kind of getting Xavier Irizarry, the quarterback that played in relief of Isaiah Knowles, we found out right before game time that he wasn't playing. And so him coming in relief did really well. Passed the ball well, ran the offense well, defense was cooking as well. But it took just a little bit of time. It took about a quarter for the Newberry defense, who primarily is accustomed to playing against a pass-happy offense. So when, Albany State wasn't necessarily pass-happy, but were able to get passes in droves, I think it stunned them. I thought the game plan going in would be Albany State would run the football against Newberry because Newberry had given up a whole lot of yards on the ground, over 2,000 yards on the ground. So I thought the game plan going in would be a heavy dose of Tion Weiss, a heavy dose of Roderick McCrary as well. And, being able to go through the full complement of offense for Albany State, I thought, hey, this is great. But again, it took about a quarter for them to get accustomed to Irizarry playing. But even then, Irizarry did a really good job to be a true freshman coming in that kind of spot. So, being a thing of not having a counterpunch to what Newberry was able to do, that offense was good enough to score, and it was just a thing of Albany State not really having their full complement of offense. I think Isaiah Knowles gave you or would give you the element of being able to run. And so with that not being there, Irizarry is more of a pocket passer. Wanted to stay in the pocket even when he ran outside. There were opportunities to run, but it was he is more of the classic pocket passer. And I think Newberry knew that and kept him contained within the pocket and let him throw. And his receivers, a few times dropped the ball. You can see that within the game. And so I think that's what happened. And I think the biggest play of the game that really flipped the momentum towards Newberry was the blocked field goal at the end of the half, where Devron Williams from Newberry actually got in an area. He talked about it in the post game. He was able to tell his man to go outside. The man went with him. He had a clear lane to block the field goal. He blocked it, scooped it, and ran it back for a touchdown. So that kind of took the proverbial air out of the stadium at that point. And so that's kind of what occurred, man. And then after that, it was just a seesaw matchup. Nobody really scored. Give credit to the Albany State defense to be able to kind of keep Reed Shapir contained, but they had their spots to score as well. Also penalties, pass interference. There were several calls made. And I think it was the total opposite of what they experienced in the Benedict game, whereas they let them play on the outside. This officiating crew did not. And so them trying to get it to their main receiver, Keith Desashore, they were not able to, but there were definitely defensive pass interference calls that changed the outcome of the game. And I think Albany State stayed out on defense for a long time, and that's kind of where the game kind of ended there. Had an opportunity at the end to get back, even down to the last drive, but just could not punch it in to tie the game. And give credit to Newberry for hanging on.
Steven, your observations from afar.
I'll be honest with you. My afar was really afar. This was like one of the few Saturdays that I have off during this time of the year. So, I was keeping up via Twitter. Had some family things, family event to go to on Saturday night. So, but I'm keeping up with the scores and everything like that. And I saw they were up 21-3. I was like, okay, they're on their way. And then by the time I got in here and turned the TV on for a second, it was one play left in the first half. They blocked, Newberry blocked the punt and recovered
field goal. It was field goal.
It was I'm sorry, it was a field goal. It's field goal. Yes. And and I said, oh, okay, well, let me stop watching. Hoping that it would get better for him, and unfortunately, it did not. It's again, hats off to Quinn Gray and the Golden Rams, not to be confused with the Red Rams. So I'm glad we're making sure with the Golden Rams. Yes. Great season for them. I mean, until yesterday, they hadn't lost to a Division II opponent, and the only, program that they had lost to was an FCS school. So, a great season that, they'll remember for a long time. I mean, obviously they've been having, great teams there for quite a while, but to advance this far to the third round, to get the number 1 seed, take down Valdosta State, to beat Benedict 3 times in a row, really good. And obviously everybody, wants to take that next step. And they got close. about as close as any HBCU has gotten since, certain program made it there a while back. But 12-win season, nothing to sneeze at. And this will be one they'll remember for a while. So there's a lot to soak in, along with another SIC championship.
All right. For me, from where I was sitting at, I thought there was a couple key points in the game. Number one was the second quarter, and the 4 pass interference calls in the second quarter. That hurt. It was like Newberry woke up and the Albany State defensive backs couldn't figure it out at that point. Two of the 4 pass interferences were legit. Reach out, grab, I'm holding on for life. One of them was, come on, y'all. This is playoff football. Let them play ball. I thought it was that. Then the other one, you could flip a coin on that one. So I thought that was crucial. Also, Jamie, if you go back and you remember, there was a third down. It was 3rd and 1, I believe, or 2nd and 1. It was 3rd and 1 at about the 30-some-odd yard line, and Albany State lost a yard. Where it was in one of those spots where I think if even if they didn't get it and they maintained or were a half yard short, I think they would have gone for it. And at that point, they were already up 21-0, or was it 21-3 by that point? But that could have been the jugular in the that could have been the one that took Newberry out if they get that one and continue that drive. But they were stopped for a 1-yard loss and they punted the ball. And Jamie knows exactly which play I'm talking about.
Yeah, I think if you're able to get that stop, y'all hear me?
Yeah. Albany State was on offense on that play.
Yeah. If you're able to keep the chains moving at that point, I think you are. I think you do have them. Again, I would say as close to the foot on the neck as possible for that offense, man. Because again, going into this game, I just the Newberry offense to me, and looking at film, there is never a point where they are out of a game. So, but that is about as close as you could get per the atmosphere. Again, head coach Todd Knight talked about the atmosphere. They don't play in anything like that, close to anything like it was in ASU Coliseum the other day, as far as the atmosphere, as far as just the electricity in the stadium. He said they just don't. And so, having them go on, and he talked about his team being battle tested, to be able to work their way through that. But yeah, that was one of the opportunities that they had to actually do that. So yeah.
Yeah. And you talk about the atmosphere before I get back on the game, Jamie. The stadium, you and I have been in that stadium. That stadium wasn't as electric as I have seen that stadium on a non-homecoming game.
Exactly.
So it was a decent crowd, but it was not the best crowd on a cold, wet day.
Yes, I agree.
Also, end of the second quarter, 9 seconds remaining. I still think that Albany State should have at least taken one more shot for the end zone. They did not take that shot for the end zone. They decided to go for the 3. And like Steve said, it was a block 6 on that play. Steve, they still may have blocked it even if they'd have went for the one play. But the fact is, give yourself a chance to try to get that one other play. 1, 2, 3 step, throw to the end zone, 3 seconds left. Okay.
Yeah, I thought, again, I turned on, I think they were kind of pondering what they were going to do. And, and I watched it and I was like, wow, this is like literally the worst thing that could happen. To go from, that's, what is that? A 10-point swing, right? 3 points that you would get turns into 7 points for them. at the end of the quarter, giving them momentum going into the half. I mean, I jokingly say I turned it off, but I did because it was just like, it's just like, wow, you look back at that. I mean, if you take that away,
it's a different game.
It's a different game. So, that's going to be one of those ones that's going to haunt you, for quite a while. They always say, special teams, we always talk about the offense and we talk about the defense, but those special teams can really come back to bite you. Having a good kicking game, not just a guy that can swing it, but also, the guys that can, having the right people there to block can be the difference between winning and losing. And this time it could be the difference between, your season ending and possibly extending it. Yeah. So.
And let me set this up for everybody. Albany State took their last time out there with the 9 seconds, but let me back it up. When coach called the time out, I think there was either 6 or 7 seconds left. They added time to the clock during the time out. And I think that may have played a little bit of a factor because him thinking he was only going to have one other play. Yes, you kicked the field goal at that point. But when they added the time back on the clock, and I think they added it right before they came out of the huddle, there may not have been enough time for Quinn to, mentally process that and make that adjustment. Oh, let me send this offense back out here for one last play and make sure that not sending them back out there, but you sending them out there with an opportunity to do something with that they actually have a play call that they have enough confidence in that could get them into the end zone for those next 20 some odd yards that they needed to go. So, like I said, I think those are key turning points, but great drive at the end by Albany State. Looking at some of the outstanding players in this particular ball game, Jamie, Quan Peterson, man. Wow, we talking about a quarterback in Reed Sharpier who had only been picked off 4 times all season in 400 attempts. Let's keep that in perspective, everybody. That's 1 interception per 100 attempts. I think he had 401 attempts in the game. He was picked off twice in 36 attempts by Quan Peterson. Jamie, what you seeing up there as you calling this game with these interceptions there?
No, I think you're talking about Javon Carr. Check that again, real quick.
Wait a minute.
Want to make sure.
Oh, I'm looking at the wrong one. Yeah, Carr. I'm sorry, I'm on the wrong side.
Yeah. Javon Carr, Jonathan Carr. Yeah. It was the tight coverage that he was actually going on to their main receiver. And I think Reed Sharpier is I don't like to give this dude much press, but the Brett Favre gunslinger mentality, as far as, he's unafraid to throw the ball up. And I think that's what you saw. And Carr was just in the right position. In fact, Newberry was driving and Carr got that first pick in the end zone. The receiver hadn't turned his head around and Carr was right there to make that pick. So he was there. It was just a matter of, you were going to get your opportunity. It was just a matter of being at the right place at the right time, and Carr was there.
Yeah. And also, you talk about a quarterback who had only been sacked, 15 times all season, Jamie, if I remember correct, 15, 16 times.
Yep.
And Albany State was able to get 4 sacks on Sharpier.
Yeah, man, he has great feet. And you saw a couple of times in this game, he will wait until the last minute to throw the football. So that's why, in fact, he wasn't sacked that much. That was kind of the one of those things where almost like the old school option, where someone waited to the last minute to make the pitch. That's what he would do. He would get almost 2 or 3 yards before he hit the sideline, and boom, here comes the ball, and would throw across his body to make completion. So yeah, it was great that they kept him in the pocket, and the middle of the line was able to go ahead and put him on the ground. So yeah, Albany State's defense did well. But they were on the field a long time in the second and third quarters.
Yes, they were. Offensively, Xavier Azari. Now, a lot of people have asked what happened to Isaiah Knowles. Isaiah Knowles in the game against Benedict suffered a lower leg injury and was on crutches pretty much the entire week, and they could not risk the health of the young man by putting him out there. So Xavier Azari started, and mind you, he won what 3 games this year in the relief role for the Golden Rams. So we know Coach Gray had 100% confidence in him, and that was part of the reason for the Albany State early success, because Newberry did not practice for him and had to make those adjustments. So great job there by Xavier. Tiant Weiss, 21 carries for 91 yards. Roderick McCrary had 14 carries for 55 yards. Javian Jackson, 3 receptions for 67 yards. Jamarian Davis had 1 catch for 14 yards, but it did go for a touchdown. And Jamil Williams, 2 catches for 39 yards on the day. Roger McCrary, 3 catches, 24 yards. Anybody else stood out to you, Jamie?
I guess what didn't stand out, Jamil Williams, as great a game as he had in the previous game against Benedict, I think they held him in check pretty well. They tried to get him the ball, but it was just a matter of that third person. Cameron Watts in special teams did well in the punt return game and the kickoff return game, really giving Albany State really short fields and just giving them a momentum boost as well.
Yeah. Now, Albany State once again finishes the season 12-2. Now, Steve, the season is over. Go ahead, Steve. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. I'm gonna give it to you on this one.
You're gonna recuse yourself? I got you. Yeah, understandable.
Wait, hold up. And for 2 reasons. A, we don't want my bread is buttered, thanks to Steve.
Yes.
And number 2, this conversation is going to turn towards my alma mater, which we got a whole nother segment about what happened at FAMU Friday night with basketball. So we'll get into that a little bit later. But let's just talk about the elephant in the room there, Steve.
Yeah, well, that elephant would be, none other than, the future of the coaching position at 2 story schools. Obviously, Albany State has, just had, a great rise under Quinn Gray. I believe this is year 3 for him. Got to the championship game in first year, took a step back last year, and then this year, obviously, with the breakthrough. But most of us first heard of Quinn Gray at another institution that's in Tallahassee, Florida. So, obviously, they have a coach. They have a coach now officially. James Colsey is still listed as the head coach over at Florida A&M. He's just finished up his 2nd season, and I mean, for what it's worth, he did beat Quinn Gray, but there's probably about 3-1 scholarship difference that you're talking about there. So, there's obviously been a lot of speculation about, how hot the seat is for Colsey. Of course, it didn't get any cooler at the end of the season when you lose to Mississippi Valley State for the 2nd year in a row. So, or losing to Bethune-Cookman. It's
or losing to them back to back.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to be a FAMU insider. Well, you don't have to be a FAMU insider to know that they're not happy with Colsey, even though 2 years ago, I mean, he was the cat's meow. But it's a different day now, and so obviously Quinn Gray was at, I think, his 1st season there at Albany State. Still getting his wings underneath him as a college coach, but obviously now. He's a championship winning coach over at Albany State, and I'm sure that they would love to keep him. But I mean, hey, I'm a guy who knows. When you do well at the Division II level, generally speaking, especially when you get to this level, your guys are going to have an opportunity to, pursue other opportunities. And then you add in, obviously, the displeasure, the sudden turn of displeasure with James Colsey. It's kind of a perfect storm for a new. Well, Stephen Campbell says he was never to catch me out, but I just remember running back Colsey. That's all I heard, And I know people said that Tremaine Jackson applied for the job, but I don't think I ever remember hearing his name out of anybody's mouth at that time. So, either way it goes, the seat is hot. Everybody's just waiting for a decision to be made at FAMU, but obviously everybody knows that Quinn Gray is within their sights. I have been told that, there has been contact with his representation. So, which isn't unusual. So it's going to be very interesting to see as we, watch from far and near.
Before I turn it over to Jamie, I do want to ask you this, Steve. You mentioned success and your coach getting poached. Obviously, your institution a decade ago went through something very, very similar, coming off those back-to-back championship runs under one Connell Maynard. So just talk about how that was for you as a Winston alum or just a D2 football fan at that point in time, knowing that your coach was so good that he was getting poached by FCS programs.
Well, I mean, it happens. You like to think that, everybody has their own tradition. Everybody's excited about what they're doing. And everybody wants it to continue. But I think, not only on the D2 level, but even now at our FCS schools, when you have that level of success, there's also, people are going to want to do what they can to better their careers or what they perceive to better their careers, definitely better their pockets. And so, it's a natural reaction to want to hold on to them. But I mean, again, at Winston-Salem State, we've seen several coaches go. We've seen Bill Hayes go over to that school over in Guilford County. Then we saw Pete Richardson go to Southern. And then, obviously Connell Maynard and what he went on to do as well. So it's just a reality when you're good at any level beyond the Power Five. And even some of the Power Five guys, they're not satisfied. They want that next level up job. So, it's just it's a part of the business. And again, when you look at a guy like Quinn Gray, it just makes sense for him to have already gotten together and putting together a championship staff and knows what that takes. And you want Superman back, right? So,
Jamie, your thoughts?
Man, I hate to lose him on the D2 level within the SIAC. Covering that league for almost 10 years now, man. You see coaches come and go. You just do. But it's one of those things where it's part of the business. And quite honestly, it kind of spills into another discussion where are we talking celebrity hire versus these coaches that are coming through the ranks and where that matches up. I think we have phenomenal coaches within Division II, and I think Quinn Gray is one of those. He's gone through the ringer at different places and landed at Albany State. I think he was at Memphis before that. And so he's come up I'm not gonna say the right or wrong way, but just the way that coaches usually do on this level. And so for him to get a step up in division, I think it is a great thing. But I think one of those coaches, several coaches within the D2 ranks are deserving of those kind of positions. And I would hate to see him go, but I understand the business as well. I made a comment on Twitter that look no further than the Division II ranks to get your next head coach. I mean, it's true. There's several in the wings waiting. I know we're going to talk about a hire later at that school in Forsyth County, but there are people that are within the space that have pulled themselves up by their bootstraps and have gone through the fire as far as the pay and the lack of resources and all the things that you go through when you're talking about coaching young men at the HBCU level and are deserving, I've always felt, of these opportunities. So Quinn Gray would qualify as one of those people. And so if that indeed does happen, I wish him well. But, Albany State is a great job. I've had this discussion with quite a few coaches. I think they have everything in place to be, Gabe Gardenia went on to Charleston Southern, so Quinn Gray's turn to go on to whether
Mike White,
whatever, absolutely. Sean Gibbs from Fort Valley is going on to North Carolina A&T. Right now he's trying to get that program where it is. But Dr. Anthony Holloman of the SIAC has said, hey, we understand. They come to the SIAC and pick these coaches. Same thing with the CIAA. There's no doubt that a Dr. Henry Frazier or Dr. Alvin Parker, have been there before and will be back there again and are deserving of those opportunities. So it's no surprise at all that you're seeing this happen.
So let's play the game, Jamie. Let's play the game, Steve. All right. I am XYZ University, and I want to hire a Division II coach. Give me the top candidates. Who wants to go first?
Me. I got a couple. I'd like to see go right now.
Not who you want to see go.
No,
I'll tell you top candidates.
These are people that deserve them. Obviously, Dr. Parker, what he's done over at Virginia Union. Obviously, they didn't get the CIAA championship that they wanted this year, but he's been solid. He's been there since 2017, and they've never had a losing record. I mean, most years they've won at least 7 games. They've been to the playoffs, even times when they didn't win the CIAA. So I think 4 consecutive appearances. So yeah, he obviously has earned that. Obviously, Dr. Henry Frazier, he's been at that level. He's won at that level. But I would say also now Quinn Gray and Maurice Flowers. I mean, I think all of those are guys that, have proven, especially for Maurice Flowers. I mean, he took a Johnson C. Smith program that, had 1 championship since 1892. And he's turned them into, a nationally ranked team. So, I mean, there's a lot of program builders in the Division II ranks. And so, I mean, historically, we've seen guys come from the Division II ranks and do well. Like I said, Bill Hayes, Pete Richardson, Rod Broadway when he was at North Carolina Central. So, obviously, we kind of going through this thing where people are, looking for NFL guys. And then there's some D2 guys. And then when you talk about Quinn Gray, like the new hire that we just got, I mean, these are guys that are also NFL players that went to HBCUs and have, worked their way up as well. So yeah, I mean, it makes sense. It's a no-brainer. I mean, if you don't want to, or you're not going to get an NFL name that's going to immediately bring an impact. Obviously, these guys are successful at D2. I mean, look at both of the coaches in the Celebration Bowl 2 years ago. They were in the, in Division II. And so, again, and I've seen a lot of people say they don't want a Division II coach. But I mean, the proof is in the pudding with those guys. Now, not everybody does well. I mean, Kyle Maynard never set the world on fire again after he left Bill Hayes and Winston-Salem State. Damon Wilson's, he's struggling over there at Morgan State, but that's not a new thing for Morgan State. So there's none of it's never a guarantee, but when you have guys that build the right way, it just makes sense. So those are some of the names that I would say for sure have earned looks for this year.
Do you want to be a big fish in a small pond, or do you want to go jump into the river? That's the question. Jamie, anybody who you think we should add to that list? And I'm going to let you play round 2 of the game. The only way these guys could possibly move up to the next level if some of the guys from the current FCS ranks move up. So if I'm looking for an FCS coach also, Jamie. Who's at the top of your list on the FCS level after you talk about the any D2 ads to Steve's list?
Well, I'm gonna go young. I'm gonna go a little bit younger. And I'm gonna pick off both of those staffs that he just talked about. Anton Sewell. It's time for him to be a head coach somewhere. His defensive talent, he's been able to structure, and he's gone under that Bowie State, played at Bowie State, and followed, went to Alabama State for a cup of coffee, and then, followed Damian Wilson to Morgan State. It is time, and I would love to see him get his opportunity. Diego Riley as well at Virginia Union. If you're talking about running back, and they have definitely they can say that. He's one of the architects of that, and I think he is deserving of an opportunity as well. I think you got a lot of young coaches that are deserving of those opportunities, and those two right there in particular that I think needs to get their shot at becoming head coaches within the ranks, because they love the space, they love the work, they are about the grind, and they are deserving of that shot. As far as those that are, it's time for them to go up to the FCS. I
move up from FCS to maybe a G5 school.
Oh, I was thinking from the Division II up to
go ahead.
Up to FCS, but we can go there too.
Yeah. Start D2.
Hey, Teddy Keaton. Teddy Keaton. I think if you're talking about one of the most phenomenal minds of offense in college football, I think that's him. He's been everywhere. He's built everywhere he's been. And I think him going up to the FCS would be great. I think he's had some opportunities. I think he's gotten some calls, but no one's pulled the trigger yet. And I think he is one. As far as, and I'll go those that are deserving to go up to the G5 level, because they've already picked a couple. Willie Simmons, I think, was absolutely ready. It was unfortunate that he felt he had to, but this is out of his own mouth. That is the information that he got before he made that move to go to Duke, that he had, because he wants to be a Power 5 coach one day. There's a Power 4 coach one day. There's no doubt about it. I think he has everything it takes. He's been on, a winner at every level. I think that when you're talking about coaches that are deserving of that opportunity, I think a little more time with the likes of maybe TC Taylor, a little more, because he is coached. I've always loved TC because he is coached in both HBCU conferences on the FCS level, and he knows what it takes. So I always thought he was equipped to be able to take over that job, but I also think he's at his dream job as well. So I don't know who would make that move up to a G5, but I'm sure that happens. Coming back down for a second is another coach that I know came into the space that is, probably someone that's a name that for the FCS level would be good. That's Felton Huggins of Kentucky State. I don't think people really understand, after the last regime left in Kentucky State, what happened of him having to completely transform a team from a triple option attack, and this is just talking about offense, but a complete recruitment flip into a spread offensive system in 3 years. And so I think he is one of those names that is right up there amongst those within the SIAC that, hey, you might want to look, because I could absolutely see him, especially based on where he recruits from. I would hate to lose him in the HBCU ranks, but someone that could, because I think he comes from the Southland. And so that area, he's from the Louisiana, New Orleans area, and I think he knows
he's a Grambling grad,
right.
Jamie. So let's keep an eye on that one. Should that situation play out similar to what Steve is speculating FAMU was going to play out?
Absolutely. So we'll okay, Steve.
I mean, I know they're not going to want to hear it right now, especially since they got a game to play, but Chennis Berry is South Carolina State.
I said I wasn't gonna go there because of the game. I intentionally stayed away from that one.
You have obligation, but this is what people bring me on for, right? So it's I'll be that guy. Yeah, I think just given. I mean, I know he's only been 2 years at the FCS level, but again, when you look at you talked about Willie Simmons and the success that he's had, and obviously he had to, like he said, he had to go that route to be an assistant. But even a guy like Jerry Mack, who obviously it's been a while since he was a head coach, but who cut his teeth at HBCUs and had that success pretty early. I think Chennis Berry is a team that if I'm a lower level G5 team and I'm looking at guys to maybe be outside of the box, just imagine what he could do with the resources of some of these, even a lower level G5. So, I mean, I think, again, it's great that some of these guys are having success, and maybe it would be at the point where you wouldn't have to go to that assistant route that Willie Simmons and, Jerry Mack eventually had to do. But I think if it was one guy right now, again, with his charisma, if they had, somebody with a major media team too, and given this, I just think that would work well. You look at his staff, it is a very diverse staff already. You know what I mean? So I think he's a guy that, I think that he's a guy that a lot of people would, if they ever get him in for an interview, I don't think anybody's ever come away and not been impressed with him. So obviously, he's got to win this week, and I'm sure that would help that a bit. But I know South Carolina State is a place where they expect you to be there until you retire. Their last two coaches have been that, and they've been kind of like the Pittsburgh Steelers when it comes to having consistency at coaching. And I'm sure they would tell you there's no better job in the world, but just like FAMU would tell you there's no better job in the world. You know what I mean? There's always that where we are. There's always that next level up, and you talk about Willie Jeffries, or if you talk about Willie Jeffries or Buddy Pugh or Jake Gaither, Eddie Robinson, we don't have a lot of those, and it's for good reasons, because there's a lot more doors and opportunities that can open. So just like we were talking about the D2 level, same thing there with these guys as well. Everybody can stand a little bit more money in the money in their bank account. I know I could.
Yeah. Before one name before we get to talking about your hire at Winston-Salem, there, Steve. What about Quentin Morgan?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, he's had a very consistent career. The back end hasn't been as great as you would like. I'm sure there's reasons for that. A lot of times there's behind the scenes stuff that, if you're not there, you don't really know. Sometimes, whether that's administration changes, and that resonates with different resource changes. But, we've seen him that he knows how to have a winning program. I believe I saw he's the second winningest coach.
Yes, he was.
In the program's history. So, that says a lot. So, yeah, I think for him, the Savannah State job is open. And if things go the way we expect them, there'll be another opening in the SIAC as well. So, I think, you go there for a couple years, you do your thing. And I think that, you never know. But, obviously, he's a guy who knows how to put together a good system. Sometimes it's just about finding the right fit, and timing really can be everything. And that's why I say the timing couldn't be any better for Quinn Gray and any worse for James Colsey right now.
Your thoughts, Jamie?
No, I think Stevens is exactly right. 2 years ago, that's when the iron was hot. I think, he couldn't have, he was at the peak of what he could do at Langston. And I think that he was the hot candidate to be somewhere else. But, seemingly when you're dependent upon young men to kind of have your resume at its peak, those are the ebbs and flows of coaching. And I think then he absolutely could have gotten a Division II job. But now it's just a matter of what the hot name is. And quite honestly, athletic directors now are dealing with so much more than they used to. It's not just about the hire anymore. It's about the marketing. It's about the fan base. It's about appeasement to this group, that group. So I don't know if Quentin Morgan could be. He absolutely is a winner. But I don't know if that appeases your fan base like it once could have. But if you're just looking for a quality coach that has won, he would be one of them, and absolutely a name that I would look at from a program.
Yeah, just really quick, I would say, I mean, I've been kind of, just looking at the last couple of years, the coaches that are getting hired now, obviously guys with a major NFL name, or a guy who is a alumnus of the university or has some type of tie to their city, as well as, you see the Division II candidates. I mean, if you look at it, again, we're talking about Chennis Berry. Obviously, he was at Benedict previously. He's from Savannah State alumnus, so he's not far from his home area. Tremaine Jackson, obviously, he played over his college ball over in that way.
Texas
and then you, like I said, you got your TC Taylors and your Trey Olivers who worked their way around and got back to their alma maters. And then you got your Deshaun Jacksons and everyone else who, and Michael Vick's kind of a little bit, and a mix in all of them. So there's really certain profiles that are working right now, at least at HBCUs. And so, it's great to be able to be a great technician and be able to do X's and O's and be great with the kids. But if you don't have somebody that, gets your fan base excited, because now more than ever, you need them to put in some money on this and sell tickets. So it's going to be tough. I think it's going to be tough for some guys like that, to land jobs right now, even as we transition on, especially at the D1 level.
Yeah. So one of those coaches who whipped up one of those profiles you just talked about, Steve, is the hire there at Winston-Salem State. He is an alum. So coming back home. So let's talk about the hire at Winston-Salem.
Yeah, he fits a lot of those boxes, actually. So he not only is he an alumnus, but he actually is from the city of Winston-Salem. And we don't actually have a large local population from here in Winston-Salem. So, he grew up in the housing projects not too far away, came to WSSU as a walk-on, back-to-back CIAA championships, Pioneer Bowls. They did beat Tuskegee one of those years. Tuskegee got
what my mute button? You lucky I can't find my mute button. No.
But so and then he went on from a Division II HBCU as a quarterback to make the NFL, and played in a couple of years before he got into coaching. So he's been a coaching fellow at a couple of different places. So needless to say, we're over the moon right now. I mean, I'll be honest. I'll speak for myself and then just for the rest of WSSU. We're definitely over the moon right now. This is a program, really proud tradition. From 76 to 2016, we won 12 championships in 40 years. We've only had 3 winning seasons since then. And it's just, we're in need of a hero. You know what I mean? We're in need of somebody. I'm serious. Like you start when you're used to winning, and this, AD, when you're used to winning and then you stop winning, it can be hard. You can lose people. You know what I mean? It hurts. It hurts to give a ram, is what I always say. So, very excited about having him back. He may not be a household name to a lot of people, but, for sure around here, that name carries a lot of weight. Not only like NFL guy, but he's paid his dues in the coaching ranks. Coached with the LA Rams, scouted with the LA Rams, and been a lot of different places in the pro leagues as well. So, he's a guy that can come into people's houses and say, hey, I went to this school. I did what I had to do. I made it to the NFL. I have now not only made it to the NFL as a player, but also as a scout and a coach. And, so if I can do it, you can do it too, and follow my lead. So seriously, and when I said we need a hero, he actually, before Cam Newton came along, I got a video of it. He actually scored touchdowns, and he would pull up his he had a Superman shirt. So he actually did it before Cam Newton is documented. So we're excited. The press conference is tomorrow. And, again, it's just when you just know the feeling of having the rug pulled out underneath you. You know what I mean? Every time you get a little excited, the rug's pulled out underneath you. It's definitely exciting. I know. I'll just say personally, I had to go to Norfolk several times a year. I was at the MEAC tournament. I was at the spring game for Norfolk State, and as well as homecoming. And I made several recruiting visits, So not to say that I brought him there, but I'm super glad that he's there. And I think he's going to bring a lot of energy around the program. And, and shout out to our chancellor. She's our first woman chancellor. She put out the plan early, as soon as the season was over. You saw the resignations. The AD and the head coach resigned, and she basically went that week and told us, hey, we are planning to have this done by the 1st of December when our board of trustees meet. And she got it done, and so that's one of the best things that you can do as a chancellor. A slam dunk is when you do a regime change and bring in somebody that, is beloved by the program. That generally buys you some time with other things. So, we'll see.
Jamie, you're from the North Carolina area, so you have a lot of familiarity with Winston and a lot of those programs there in North Carolina. Love them or hate them, Jamie. Your thoughts on that as somebody who understands that area, the Winston culture, and everything surrounding this hire?
Man, I'm gonna keep this short because me and Steve been hinting back and forth on Twitter this entire time when we even thought that a coaching opportunity would be open in Winston. It's a home run hire. It's a home run hire. I don't think you can. There's not much better you can do. Torrey was at Winston when I was at A&T, and around the same era. I think 99. That area was his heyday, and so yeah. I mean, I was at A&T in 97, but that name is significant for that school and that area, and to go on to do what he's been able to do. No, he didn't. He wasn't this NFL superstar, but he resonated in that you could go from that school into the pro leagues. Now, of course, Winston-Salem State has had some stars that have, but when you're talking about a native son of the area, like, he's Winston through and through. And so I don't think you can do any better. I really don't.
All right. Well, with that, we're getting ready to take our first break. Bryan is done wiping his eyes and crying from the loss that the Colts took earlier today. He's waiting in the back room, getting himself together. If you guys want to stay around for the second hour, you guys could definitely stay around for the. Are you gonna stay around for the second hour? Because if not, I want to give you the proper closeout. If you're not gonna stay around.
Well, I got a jet. I got to take the baby back to Kennesaw State. Okay. To celebrate, I guess. But nah, she got finals this week, so about to go take her back to school. But I appreciate it, AD.
All right, Steve, you gonna hang around, or you gonna do your closeout?
Yeah, I'll hang around. Why not?
All right. Well,
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good these days.
We lose Jamie. We're gonna pick up Bryan, and when we come back from the break, Steve, number one, is FAMU ducking the smoke? We talk about on the hardwood, not on the gridiron. And there was this thing called the SWAC Championship game yesterday, fellas. Raise your hand if you had the outcome of this game correct, and we're not talking about the point spread, Bryan. Yeah, I thought so. We'll be right back here on the BCSN Sports Wrap. AD, Jamie, who's going to be saying goodbye. Steve will be right back. We'll be right back here with you in just a moment.
Football fans, the Cricket Celebration Bowl is celebrating 10 years of crowning an HBCU national champion. A champion will rise at Mercedes-Benz Stadium on December 13th as the MEAC and SWAC champions clash in Atlanta. Join us for championship football, interactive fan experiences, and iconic marching bands. It's an HBCU family reunion that you don't want to miss. See who will be crowned the next HBCU national champion. For event and ticket information, visit thecelebrationbowl.com.
For over 30 years, HBCU Image has been more than just an apparel store. We've been a movement, a statement, a legacy. We celebrate the pride, the purpose, and the culture that make historically black colleges and universities legendary. Whether you're a student or a lifelong supporter, our gear lets you wear your HBCU story with confidence and style. Because when you wear HBCU Image, you're not just wearing clothes. You're wearing culture. You're wearing pride. You're wearing purpose. HBCU.
With over 25 years of serving our communities, Destiny Financial Services, a division of Global Life, is here to help you and your family through difficult times. From cancer care to accidental industries to cardiac care, we all know that there are times that you can't control what happens in your life, but you can be prepared to weather the storm when it comes. Call DFS at 877-300-8269 or visit the website at www.globelifeinsurance.com. That is 877-300-8269, or again, the website at www.globelifeinsurance.com.
ESPN Events presents Red Lobster Band of the Year, a title reserved for elite HBCU marching bands. A season-long competition that culminates in Atlanta on Friday, December 12th. Drum majors, percussion, drill, auxiliaries, musicality. All aspects will be examined by the toughest judges in the world of college bands. 4 will qualify for the big stage, where national champions will be crowned. Follow us on social media for rankings updates throughout the season. And join us in Atlanta on December 12th. For event and ticket information, visit bandoftheyear.com.
Back here on the BCSN Sports Wrap, my co-host is finally here with us.
Good evening,
Bryan,
fellas.
Bryan, how long was that ride home after watching that loss by your coach, Bryan?
I don't know. I slept half of it or all of it, pretty much. So they say it usually takes about 2 hours, and thankfully I didn't have to drive any of it.
All right.
Look, you can't. I could. This is what I told. Look, when you get a free invite, to an NFL game, and to get a chance to hang out in the suites where there's free food, free drink, you go. And I told my friend, only free tickets in a suite could get me to go to Jacksonville to go watch the Colts game, because I knew we were going to lose, because that's what we've done for the last decade plus. And bada boom, bada bing, we lost. So
there you go.
Nothing surprised me. So that way I didn't get my hopes up, didn't get discouraged, didn't get upset, because I knew what was going to happen.
Yeah. Another group of people who I hope did get their hopes up today and are probably definitely upset. And thank God for the people. I hope the people down at Southern got to know their women's basketball coach nice and early this year, as the Southern women defeated the University of Houston earlier today by a score of 70-62. Zaria Hurston led the way with 11 points on 4 of 10 shooting, 1 of 1 from behind the arc. Also with 11 points off the bench, Olivia Dancy with 11 points.
Oh.
Demaya Porter led the way with 6 boards. Zaria Hurston helped her out with 5 boards. Michaela Cunningham added 4 boards and 6 points, along with Jocelyn Tate off the bench with 8 points and 4 boards. So Southern football was not what you expected, but your women definitely keeping you in the game and keeping Southern Athletics hot with not 1 but 2 victories within the same week over Power 4 schools. Comments, anybody, before we get to back to football?
Yeah, I mean, they're not dug in the smoke. Never. I think they have the. I was reading. They have the most difficult schedule in the nation.
Yes.
And so, that huge hats off to them. Their program has been really good. A couple years back, they beat Oklahoma. So, they're consistently a good program under Coach Funchess. I thought about, I know last year, I don't know if you guys recall, the Grambling coach kind of comparing and contrasting, her team versus Southern, and that Southern plays a lot of these money games historically, and how, her team wasn't quite used to it. But obviously Southern, they have, getting 1 Power 4 win in a year would be great, but to get 2 in a week and having 3 in the last 3 years is pretty spectacular. So hats off to them. Like you said, the football season didn't go the way that they wanted to. I mean, they're still in the band of the year this year. So there's that, right? With some people, if you listen to some people, they would say that a band like Southern would never be in it because it's not made for them. Here we go. So, I think it's really great to see a women's basketball program stay and build. Obviously, we saw the coach over at Norfolk State, Coach Vickers, have his success over a number of years and then transition to Auburn. I think they're doing really well too. So women's basket, and obviously we know what Jackson State was doing under Tamika Reed. And, there's just so much that's going on in women's HBCU basketball, and particularly these last couple of years, that it's really exciting to keep track of. And so, we were lucky to have Live for Hoops doing some basketball coverage for us this year. Got her on the writing side, so she's keeping up with everything on that. So yeah, it's definitely something to keep an eye on for sure.
And we're gonna talk about her latest article in just a moment.
Let me add in on that. And Steve, I'd love your perspective on this, because obviously as somebody who covers HBCU and you've been doing it for a while here, I don't know if I'm in a bubble when I say what I'm about to say. I feel like this is the best non-conference period, November to now. I mean, we're what, 5-6 weeks?
Mm-hmm.
The best stretch of HBCU basketball, men and women, that I can recall in recent history. I mean, 15, I'm going to go at least 10, 15 years. Right.
Yeah, usually you've got one team that may get a win there in either conference, but for multiple teams in both conferences and both genders to pick up wins against name programs. We're not talking about other one bid leagues. They're picking up names against multiple bid leagues.
Right. I feel like, and it's funny because I feel like every week, and you'd have to go back and look, and you'd have to go back through the archives on HBCU game day. But I think every week there has been a big win, at least every week. And I feel like, wow, how great is that? And I haven't looked at the net conference rankings or the RPI rankings, but it feels like the conference is moving off that 31, 29, 30 line where we have historically been among the top 32 conferences in college basketball. Steve, do you feel that as well, or is that just me living in, seeing it, being in a bubble?
I don't think it's being in a bubble. I think, now it's easier to be visible. It's easier to be visible, and we feel, we see everything and we feel everything. But I think, again, there are just so many programs that are getting these wins, like we talked about in Norfolk State a couple of years, over the last couple of years again. And then it was Jackson State, and, those programs, obviously their coaches have gone on to other schools and conferences, as we talked about, but that it just continues to stay strong. Norfolk State and North Carolina A&T, I think they just played each other yesterday, and you got so many programs at the Division I level specifically that are doing very well and getting those wins. And so, I think it's it's just the outgrowth of the growth of the women's game, and the fact that generally, these teams are able to stick together a bit longer than in the men's game, where everybody that has a 15-point game, wants to get in the portal after the season to, try to see if they can get some NIL money. So not to say that it doesn't happen in the women's game, but it's not as prevalent. And so I think, as we're seeing the mid-majors suffer in basketball, for the men, I think the women are able to still pick up steam because of that. And just, some really good coaches and program builders that are usually given time, we're talking about changing coaches in football at some places in 2 years, So, usually, your women's basketball coach is going to get a couple of years. So it's really fascinating, and I'm excited to watch it all play out.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to take a look at what those net ratings are, because it's not going to really change much once the conference play starts. And this is why I've always said, if we can beat the other one bid leagues that you play, we can start to make a dent. But then if a few schools can get some wins, like what you see Southern doing, and these other schools that are getting wins against, I guess in basketball, you have more than your Power 4. You probably got your Power 5 or 6 conferences. If you can start getting wins against Power 6 conferences, it makes a difference.
Yeah, I think now the other side of that is we had Mississippi Valley State yesterday. They were on the wrong end of a record-breaking day for Oklahoma State. So still got to bring the floor. I think we still got to bring the floor up a little bit. There's always going to be a floor, but those yeah. So that but who knows?
Yeah, well, I know it's tough, because I know there's a school in Tallahassee that's been taking some L's and getting some bad beats, that not like that, but bad beatings maybe is what I should say. So I understand it, but yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Now the sad part is I'm just looking at the NEAC women's standings. Here's a team like Howard, right? And this I'm gonna get my statement in now before we get into tournament play and conference tournament play. A team like Howard will go into conference play probably with 10 wins, very similar to what Norfolk State did a year ago, and have to fight being in a one-bid league because of a stupid conference tournament where everybody wants to be inclusive. Let everybody have a chance instead of playing the long game, the money game, and send your best representative to go get you points. Oh, let's open it up for everybody. But anyway, I'm going to stop, because I'm going to save that. That's a March 1st conversation, Steve, and you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Hey, man, March Madness. You can't handle the heat in the conference play. You're definitely not going to be able to handle it in the big dance, right?
Is that rating that Travis, is that men or women that he's throwing out? Is that women?
I'm pretty sure he'll throw it in just a second for us, Travis.
Yeah.
But
because
let's stick with hoops for a minute. Let's talk about the other elephant in the room. What the hell happened Friday night, y'all? I'm gonna give y'all, or should I just go ahead and get into the administrative portion of it and kind of get everybody off the FAMU duck and smoke situation.
Okay.
Go ahead and break it down.
Well, so what you had is a situation, and I was just looking at the website, okay? The HBCU, what is it? The HBCU Hoops Invitational, okay, was an 8-team men and women's tournament happening in Orlando, Florida.
4 men, 4
right
women.
on the Disney property. Now, originally, this thing was supposed to be 16 teams, right? 16 teams, 8 men, 8 women. And in full disclosure, the Black College Sports Network was... Don't get me started about the... Hold on. Okay, see? Let me talk about volleyball. See, hold on. Doc will get me. He tried to get me sidetracked. Drew tried to get me sidetracked, and I don't even. Let me go. Let me stay focused here. Anyway, let me stay focused, Drew. Don't do that to me. The HBCU Hoops Invitational. Now, originally, the Black College Sports Network was supposed to be part of doing broadcast for this event. We were actually, I was all set. Part of the reason I didn't go to SWAC Championship game because I was all set to be on site to help with our broadcast coverage of this tournament. But due to some legal things that Disney had in place and wanted done, it never happened. It didn't materialize the way we had envisioned. So anyway, but the tournament had been reduced from 16 to 8, 4 men, 4 women, right? HBCUhoops.org, okay, is the website. Now, FAMU was the 4 men's team were Florida A&M, right, the only Division I team, Tuskegee, which was the only Division II team, Florida Memorial, which was the NAIA representative.
Only NAIA team.
And Barber Scotia College. Okay. Now, Barber Scotia College.
NCSA, I believe, is their classification.
They've been a part of this thing since August. Right? And since August, it's been known that Florida A&M was supposed to be playing Barber Scotia College. And I know this because Barber Scotia's president and Florida A&M's president were trading shots back at one another at the Orange Blossom Classic. Okay? So this wasn't new. This wasn't new to FAMU. But apparently, at some point Friday morning on game day, FAMU released a statement, and I don't know, I got it because, even though FAMU has removed it, the internet never forgets. The internet never forgets. Due to circumstances beyond our control, Barber Scotia College men's basketball team has forfeited its opening round game on Friday, December 5th. 2025. As a result, Florida A&M will advance to the men's championship at 5:30 p.m. on Saturday, December 6th. In place of round 1, FAMU will hold a 45-minute team scrimmage starting at 5 p.m. Fans are encouraged to attend. The HBCU Hoops Invitational celebrates the talent of HBCU student athletes and honors our partnership with 4 Florida host schools and 4 guest institutions. Our mission goes beyond basketball, supporting scholarships, career development, and opportunities that shape future leaders. We appreciate your understanding during this time. Okay, so I see that in the morning. I do the usual shaking my head, retweet, from our ONG account and some other places. And I start my day, because I got, I teach, I got my day. It wasn't until about 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Bryan, that statement came from Florida A&M Athletics, correct?
Yes, it did.
Okay.
Yes, it did.
Just want to make sure everybody's following the story.
Yes, that was originally posted from the Florida A&M men's basketball page /athletics. Later that afternoon, I get, a call notification from Liv, like, hey, are you seeing what Barber Scotia is saying regarding the game? And I'm like, no, I haven't. So Liv has done a great job of following this, because instantly once that got put out, apparently Barber Scotia players, maybe administrators, other people instantly started taking to primarily Instagram. It seems like Instagram is the place to go when you want to comment on something, because I'm on Twitter. I didn't see it on Twitter, but Instagram is where it was, where they're replying in the comments to that message that, hey, that's wrong. That's not accurate, blah, 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 right? Yes, that Barber Scotia College, Edwin, who they came down from North Carolina. Apparently, they were at the opening ceremonies, which was the night before.
And that's a horrible trip by the road. It's
yes, because they didn't play a game. We'll talk about the rest of that in a second. So, that starts coming out, and Barber Scotia released a statement, and you can go to HBCU Game Day. Liv has the statement up. I mean, it's been out there, stating essentially, they're basically saying that is not accurate. That is not true. We didn't forfeit. We were there. We are here. We're ready to play. Our student athletes want to play. So then becomes the game of trying to track down what is real, what is not, what is happening. And I give all credit to Liv, because Liv, the story that you read, a lot of FAMU folks are upset. We're in a sensitive state right now, Steve. You know that. So any shots at us.
You said that, not me.
No. Look, it's true. It's true. We are in a sensitive state right now. Many of us. So, so it looks like on the surface, folks are mad at Liv because they're like, this only one-sided, blah, blah, blah. Well, what y'all don't know is that Liv, she tried to get a comment from everybody that you would think to get a comment from. Coaches, the administrators, the sports information. We went radio silent. Said what we said. Contact the tournament. So what's Liv supposed to do? Steve, in the world of journalism, I know this. Look, my 1.5 years of being in the School of Journalism at Florida A&M, I understand the process of following up, giving the other side an opportunity.
I'll tell you what I told her. We tried.
Yeah, exactly.
We tried.
Exactly.
We gave everybody, and so that, yeah.
So the story comes out the way it is, and it's from the perspective, obviously, of Barber Scotia. She reported the facts. The facts are what they are. She reported it from the Barber Scotia perspective because that's all she could get. No reply or comment from the tournament. I mean, and Liv is not on site, so it's not like she could be hunting around like Marty, what's his name, down at Ole Miss, where he's like camped out for like 4 days following up on the Lane Kiffin story, right? You're trying to follow up remotely via text, phone calls. So the story is what it is. So I give, first off,
on a Friday afternoon too.
Yes, on a Friday afternoon. And we know how beautiful those Friday afternoons are, right? So I'm gonna say, shame on any Rattler that's going after Liv for this article and because she did everything she could do. I know for a fact she did everything she could do, right? So this story is from one perspective because that is the only perspective available. And more importantly, if you look at it from that lens, those kids who made the trip to play a game couldn't play a game. So I feel bad for those. I feel bad for Florida A&M too. Those student athletes wanted to play. Coach Charlie Ward didn't want this. I know for a fact Charlie Ward hated this. He did not want to have to. He doesn't want people thinking that he's ducking a team or that he doesn't want to play this game. Right? Now, the bigger story is, and this is where Drew can jump in because, and we're still trying to figure this part out, where the ball was dropped. Because of Barber Scotia and their situation, right, which is not new, Steve. Their situation has been what it's been for 2 decades.
We've written about it several times. You know, so they got internet in Tallahassee. It was not news.
It works. It works. It does work. I can attest to it. It works. Their situation is what it is. So somehow the ball literally got dropped. And because it got dropped at the 12th hour, for whatever reason, teams got nervous and teams said, oh, we're not going to play. Now, the bad part about that statement is the statement was not accurate. That statement could have been worded an entirely different way. And it's sad that it was worded the way it was and posted the way it was. And that is the bigger problem right now that is happening at our university. And I'm going to say it, and I don't duck the smoke. Y'all know where we are on Wednesday nights. We don't duck the smoke. There are some serious problems right now happening in our university at Florida A&M and within our athletic environment. And it's got to get fixed. It's got to get fixed ASAP because our coach, Charlie Ward, deserves better. Our university deserves better. And it's a shame that this happened the way it did. I'm done, Drew.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Let me jump in, and I'm going to take this more from the administrative point of this. And it once again, you're right, Brian. This was a tough situation, but as somebody who not only is administrator, but I dub as the communication specialist for an athletic department, and the person who handles athletic communications is an arm of the total institution's communications departments. So people in my position, there are certain times that when certain things happen, we in essence, coaches getting hired, coaches getting fired, student athlete getting into some trouble off campus, on campus, things of that nature, where that communication does not come directly from athletics. It may come from the athletic page, but other people are consulted. They may even write it and you just post it to the athletics page. There are certain points and times that you need to calling help, reinforcements, make sure everybody at that institution is speaking with one voice. In normal circumstances, this is a 50-50 call on whether you needed to bring in help. And I'm not blaming Dennis for this or anybody else. But the fact is, this was poorly communicated to the fans, the constituents, the players, everybody who's involved. Now, Google can be your friend. And I'm going to tell you guys this. Everything that I am about to read to you, when Brian called and told me what was going on, because I'm going to be honest, y'all, I've been in my own world between dealing with Morehouse Athletics, Band of the Year, and Celebration Bowl over the last few weeks. Unless you call and do send me something, thank God HBCU Game Day has the notifications, because I probably wouldn't be able to keep up with stuff. But when I get those dings on my phone, I do at least glance at the headline and open up what I need to open up. So, but when Brian called and asked me this, and Brian asked me a question like, what's the rule on this? Where can I find it? You know, I was driving when he called me, but once I stopped, I actually went to the NCAA manual, which is available to everybody. You do not have to be a member of an NCAA institution
to find this. Now,
you may need to know what prompts to put in, where to click at to get to the right page, but it's not that hard. This is a quote. Well, this is not. This is what it's. This is what the manual says. Currently, men's and women's basketball teams can schedule 28 games with an additional 3-game multiple team event for a maximum of 31 games. Let me back this up. This is at the Division I level, everybody, that I'm reading about. Teams can also choose to schedule 29 games with 2-game multiple team events, again with a maximum of 31 games. Or teams can schedule 29 regular season games without a multiple team event included. The NCAA's multiple team event criteria documents for men's and women's basketball lined up that with listing the contest limits as optional. 28 plus 1 3-game max MTE, 29 plus 1 MTE max 2 games, 29 contests with no MTE structures, which are exactly what year the commonly cited 31 maximum regular season games. All right. And of course, we know that there a lot of our institutions play exhibitions. In January 2025, the NCAA announced that Division One men's teams can play up to 2 preseason exhibitions games against other 4-year schools without needing a waiver, and that scrimmages no longer have to be closed unofficial. All right. It used to be those scrimmages or exhibition games had to be against non-Division One opponents. In other words, Florida State could not play Florida A&M. Now that game can happen off the books, as what happened earlier this year when FAMU went over to FSU for a scrimmage. Remember, those games must occur before the first regular season game, which those games typically occur in August. Here's where the problem lies. Somewhere, somebody forgot to certify this event as an MTE, multiple team event, which would have allowed FAMU to play those games. Without that MTE status, if they take the court against Barbara Scotia, it has nothing to do with Barbara Scotia personally as an institution, what their status is and everything else. I'm going to get to the status portion of it in a second. It was the fact that they would have been 1 game over their limit had they played on Friday night or on Saturday night. If they play both games in this event, they are 1 game over their limit, which is a whole nother set can of worms you do not want to open. Whether compliance was late in realizing this, because your schedule has to be cleared by compliance also. They don't just clear whether you're academically eligible, they also clear your schedules for every sport. Whether it was compliance or where most of the fault, in my opinion, lies is with the promoter not pushing the proper paper. Now, maybe the promoter did not know he needed to push that paper. That's not my fault.
But it is your problem.
Somebody in my position get paid to make sure that you do what you need to do. And my job as an administrator is to protect the eligibility of my student athletes and of this program to keep them folk in Indianapolis for coming down and finding stuff on us. So that's where the problem lied. The event was not certified as an MTE. You may ask, why does this not affect somebody like Tuskegee? Tuskegee probably built it into their schedule because on the Division II level, you get a max 31 no matter what. You could do 26 regular season events. You could do an opening tournament the first weekend, which I believe they did, and then you have 3 exhibitions. These games were part of those 3 exhibitions that Tuskegee built into their schedule, so they were fine. This affected the Division I team. Here's where the biggest problem was. Did everything I say kind of make sense to you, both of you guys? Once I kind of break it down. How hard would have that been for that to be put on paper?
Awfully wordy.
And if you can I tell y'all a secret? Can I tell y'all a secret? If you can't formulate the words, and Steve knows this sometimes you know what you need to say, but the words, they sound good up here, but when you get to that keyboard, it just don't come out right. I got two things that'll help you out. ChatGPT, Microsoft Copilot. Put it in there, let it clean it up for you. It's your best friend when it comes to writing. Add in sound human, boom, you good. So while the original fault with this may be on the promoter and their lack of experience dealing with college athletics and from an administrative side, FAMU is not out of the weeds with this because they did not convey this to the public in a way that made sense. I don't know what the hell that was that they put out.
They didn't do it in a truthful way. It wasn't truthful or nor transparent. And you ever since the statute of limits is up for this, you ever you're in trouble and your parents tell you just making it worse? That's what this was. It was like, so now not only did you do the bad thing, now you lied about it. Now you just made it worse. Because I'm serious. So you're already gonna get a spanking, but you just making it worse by lying.
Now you're getting a spanking and getting put on punishment.
Exactly. And that to me is the big issue there. Obviously, people in the chat, I gotta ask the grind against FAMU. Okay. FAMU and promoters 2025, maybe in 2026, we just need to take a break from promoters. I know. But seriously though, I mean, not only did you say that they forfeited when those kids were in the gym, they didn't forfeit. So you straight up said a lie. Then you turned off comments afterwards, which is more of we covered the lie. And then when you get a reporter, a Liv on the line, who is a FAMU alumna, who's just trying to get to the end of it, you give her the runaround, and you don't. If that's your opportunity to explain it to her, even if it's off the record. Don't say that if this came from me, that hey, this is explain. It's just why when you lie, you just make it worse, and it could have been a lot. It could have been a lot easier,
and there was no reason to lie.
Right. This
was nobody asked for that lie. Can
I just give you a brief statement? And this is just off the top of my head. Due to some unfortunate administrative errors in certifying this event, FAMU will not be able to participate Friday night in the contest. We look forward to seeing you at the Disney World Sports Complex or whatever it is on Saturday. Would that have sufficed, Steve?
Mm-hmm. And Drew, one other part of there that should have been added or should have been considered is consideration for the other opponent. I mean, Barber Scotia and those young student athletes, the coaches, they came from North Carolina,
Concord, right above Charlotte.
Right.
That is a horrible drive.
That's about a 10-hour. That's about a 10-hour, 10, 12-hour drive.
Not on the highway. When you get into Georgia, they put you on every back road known to man. I made that going to that SWAC Championship game in 2023. My God, I'm still scarred from that. I don't know that I'm ever driving back. So that's about a
10-hour plus drive to Orlando. And some consideration should have been said, apologizing to those student athletes, for this situation. And I would hope, like, the statement that I just read is sort of still on the athletic website, but it's just omitting, it's just missing a keyword or a couple of words. But essentially, the whole line is there, but it's just, if you read it, you're like, hey, it's missing a few words. Like that clears it up. No, it doesn't. That doesn't make it go away. It just reads bad. Your opening paragraph is missing something,
And EA, again, this was started by Liv, who is a proud FAMU alumna who wears her gear. It's about the truth. This is not about a narrative. This is not about somebody picking on FAMU. It's about the truth.
We don't need nobody to pick on us. We do a damn good job of just putting ourselves out there for people to pick on us.
Yeah, and I will double down on that. Again, I will say this to any of my beloved Rattlers. This ain't on Liv. Back off. This is not, hey, y'all can say, oh, she's not a journalist. Whatever. Look, she basically did the reporting that a reporter would do. The same type of reporting.
She was told by me, so
look. Yeah. So
there's only one of us on this panel right now who actually has a degree in media, and that's the guy in red. There's another guy who actually took classes in the journalism school. That's the guy with that SWAC logo on. And then you got me, who just got common freaking sense and a business degree, and who's a writer.
I mean, you look at Barber Scotia. This is a school that it's a private school in a small town in North Carolina, alma mater of Mary McLeod Bethune, by the way. And, they have been struggling with enrollment. They had, they've been having a 20-year fight to come back as a university. They're building their university using athletics because people want to play sports on the collegiate level. They're using athletics to build that up. And they don't have, obviously all of our schools could use more, but they're not a public institution, right? Everything that they have, it's like sports is literally the biggest promoter that they have. And for them to be painted as though they did something wrong in this instance by a university, by an entity that is larger and still an HBCU, this is probably for outside of North Carolina or outside of a certain area, this is probably the most that people have heard of Barber Scotia. And it's like, oh, that's the school that, is forfeiting games. Like, it's just totally not fair. Like, you can't be transparent. If you can't say something good or the truth, don't say anything, but the statement that you guys gave, it just makes sense.
One last thing, people want, like I said, they had to give up one of these games. And if you're Florida A&M, if you have an NCAA opponent, no matter what level it is, and a non-NCAA opponent, you're going to give up the non-NCAA game, be it that was an NAIA opponent or be it Barber Scotia in their current classification. So when they mentioned about the classification, it had nothing to do with their accreditation as an institution. I need everybody to get that right.
Say that louder, because that's another part that my beloved FAMU folks seem to be running with. That had nothing to do with it.
It has nothing to do with the accreditation.
And it's a stain on another HBCU.
It had to do with their classification athletically, not academically. So I want to make sure I get this out. FAMU, y'all can cash app me for going out here and trying to save y'all ass. Cash app, Zelle, Venmo, I don't care. You have it in my account by 8 o'clock in the morning.
Hey, let me add one other thing here. Because I know people are upset with the promoter right now. I will say this. I know, I think Haywood Workman is a good dude. Who is the promoter of this event. He's an NBA official, former NBA player. He's trying to do something really great in this space, because I have been saying for a long time, Steve, man, it'd be great to get a basketball event in this state that featured the state schools. Bethune-Cookman, Florida Memorial, Edward Waters, Florida A&M. All four were a part of this, whether it was their men or women's program, right? Now, the part that needs to nobody has spoken publicly about the accreditation, but that's in the back channels, Kelvin. That's people. See, that's the what we call the YNBC, the NNN. That's those folks. That's that network. That's that network that's running around talking about accreditation. So nobody publicly is talking about, but the barbershop is talking. Okay. So, but what I want to say though is the promoter is trying to create a great event, trying to, and I wish whatever it takes for the group of whoever he's working with, because first off, it takes a lot, the fact that he was able to get this at Disney. That's a big undertaking. So, and that same Disney facility is the same facility that they played a nice holiday Thanksgiving hoops tournament in just the week before, right? So it's a first class. They play AAU tournaments, national tournaments in there. That is a first class facility that game or that tournament was played in. So all of those students who came in got a great opportunity. I hate it for the Barber Scotia kids. I hated that this situation went down. Unfortunately, I don't know what the rest of the results were. I mean, you have to follow the individual schools. I saw Edward Waters women defeat Bethune-Cookman's women. I hate it for
Florida Memorial beat Tuskegee.
Yeah. So I mean, the NAIA's Division IIs, showed up, right? They showed up big time, and I think there's room for these type of events. Now, I wish we could keep it to, and this is where planning comes in, Steve, right? Or Drew. I'd love for this to be something where you could get both men and women's teams from these universities to come compete. Even if they don't play each other, bring both schools, both men and women, because that's where you get a chance to really bring in the fan bases to come and support their institutions. I know that's challenging. It's not easy because of scheduling. And I hope the way this went down doesn't sour people, because it shouldn't, because you got a Disney facility. You're probably on Disney property with your stay. You're practicing shooting around in a nice court, nice facility. I mean, there's so many pluses. And Haywood Workman, with his background, he's going to have some good sponsors as a part of this. There might be some other things that need some work and some organization as it relates to media. But
give me a call, Haywood.
Exactly.
He did actually start his college career at Winston-Salem State, by the way. Yeah. 1 year.
Yeah.
So,
and he played for my Indiana Pacers. Look, I got love for Haywood Workman. I'm not dissing Haywood Workman. I know people want to throw the promoter under the bus. That's a big thing these days, right? So I'm not throwing, but there are ways to have better handle this. And I just hope that on Monday, President Johnson issues a statement, because if she knows the president of Barber Scotia, again, they are familiar. I would hope that a statement comes from the president's office apologizing to Barber Scotia and those student athletes for how that communication went out. Because we got to rise above. We got to be better. And because if we gonna brag different, and then we gotta lay claim as the top public HBCU, we got to do that better in our messaging.
Two things, Brian. It didn't take till Monday morning for a statement to come out for about Joe Bullitt, so that's bull. Wait until Monday. That's number one.
What?
Number two, I'm serious. And when I'm lying, y'all stop me. Number two, FAMU 2 times within the last 90 days has put themselves in position with outside events and promoters, and neither one of them has been their fault. But what is the common factor in this? Florida A&M, Florida Agriculture and Mechanical University has been involved in the two biggest HBCU promotional disasters in 2025. Be it their fault or not their fault. And neither one of them you can attribute to them being their fault. They have just happened to be driving down the street when the accident happened.
That's all right. We're gonna get back. We're gonna get back on the good PR side after we win Band of the Year. So hell with y'all.
All right. Steve, last comments before we take a break. And actually, we got a football game to talk about. We've talked about everything else but the football game. Any last comments before we take this break, Steve?
Hey man, I'm just out here setting up fires and letting them blaze.
And HBCU
Media Wizard. I like that, EA. The Wizard.
You gotta roll with that, Steve. You gotta roll with that.
I'm gonna roll with that. I might have a shirt on Celebration Bowl. HBCU Media Wizard.
hey Steve, I need you to tell me how many clicks that FAMU is getting on those HBCU game day posts. How much money FAMU has made HBCU game day this year? Don't answer that out loud. I know we helping to pay the bills. That's all I can say. Because people,
you helping to fight. Hey, I'll make sure I don't lose any money going to Atlanta with y'all.
let's take this break.
Steve will get us in trouble. I'm gonna have alumni all in my text messages later. Doggone it.
Speaking of going to Atlanta, let's talk about the last team to earn their trip to Atlanta. That being I almost said Jackson State. The Prairie A&M Panthers. Woo. That's right. Go ahead and get your tickets for this Saturday at the Benz. We're going to talk about our final participant when we come back. Steve, Bryan, A.D., you're watching the BCSN Sports Wrap.
You're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics. There's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
Planning an event? From weddings to corporate functions, CMJ Events LLC brings over 15 years of experience to make your vision a reality. Based in Metro Atlanta and serving statewide, even internationally, we provide versatile event planning and authentic catering cuisines tailored to your needs. Whether it's pre-game meals for student athletes, fundraisers, weddings, corporate functions, CMJ Events LLC is your one-stop solution for exceptional service and unforgettable food. Our diverse culinary heritage means we cater to all cultural tastes, dietary needs, and food restrictions, making every meal uniquely yours. Let's make your next event unforgettable. Visit us on all social media at CMJ Events LLC or email us at cmjeventsllc@gmail.com. Also give us a call at 404-664-3882 so that we can start planning now.
College football fans, a champion will rise in Atlanta on December 13th. MEAC champion, SWAC champion, the 10th Cricket Celebration Bowl, crowning an HBCU national champion. For event and ticket information, visit thecelebrationbowl.com.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties through its programs Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and parenting education coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and instagram.com/empowermentJAX.
For over 30 years, HBCU Image has been more than just an apparel store. We've been a movement, a statement, a legacy. We celebrate the pride, the purpose, and the culture that make historically black colleges and universities legendary. HBCU Image, a Kenny T's company.
ESPN Events presents Red Lobster Band of the Year. Returning to Atlanta on December 12th, 4 bands will qualify for the big stage, where 2 national champions will be crowned. Follow us for rankings updates throughout the season, and join us on December 12th. For event and ticket information, visit bandoftheyear.com.
are back here on the BCSN Sports Wrap. Bryan, AD, Steve. Bryan, do that thing you always do with the like, follow, and everything like that, man. I hate doing that portion of the show, man.
Look,
because I can't never get it right.
We need y'all to go ahead and hit the like button, hit the thumbs up and the like button. It doesn't take but a second. You guys are all in the chat rooms. We love it. All you gotta do is hit the button that's right there next to it. I mean, you may not always like what we say, but you like us. You're following the show. You're in the comments. You're having a good time chopping it up. And we appreciate and love and respect all of you. But do us a favor. Hit the thumbs up and the like button, whether you're watching us on the YouTube feed or on the Facebook channels. Please, helps out the algorithm rhythms, blah, blah, blah. And helps our network page continue to grow. All right. And also, if you're a podcast listener, the BCSN Pod Zone is where you can go to aggregate and download all of the shows. Maybe you missed Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab this morning, or you missed Carlos Brown last night. She Say Sports yesterday as well. Go to the BCSN Pod Zone on all of your podcast platforms: Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, BCSN Pod Zone. Now back to AD Drew.
And I'm gonna pull out my my government meetings, my Robert Rules of Order. Steve, same rights. Go ahead and give us the HBCU Game Day plugs before we get into our final segment.
Oh, yeah. Well, for sure, you guys can follow us on HBCU Game Day, on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, all of that good stuff, but definitely HBCUGameDay.com. Contrary to popular belief of A&T Roy, he don't know nothing about paying the bills. He writes checks that his football team can't cash, like when he told us last year that A&T was going to put 60 on us, and they had to play with the clock to beat Robert Massey's squad for their one win of the year. Thank you kindly.
All right, before we get into this last
original recipe ain't tasting so good in Greensboro, is it? I'll tell you what.
Yeah. I think I need to clarify this before we move on. AD, Edwin writes, AD, how is this the promoter and not the AD when it is FAMU who need to certify the game to allow them to play? Edwin, you are incorrect in that statement, Edwin. If FAMU were the host institution, you would be 100% correct. It would be up to them to certify it as a multiple team event. But when it is a neutral event hosted by a promoter or an outside entity outside of a participating institution, then it is up to that person who's putting on the event to certify the event on whatever. And this just does not apply for basketball. And we just in this case, we're talking about a multiple team event, but it could be for a football event, a baseball event, a volleyball event, in any sport that does not fall under the guidelines of a regular season competition. Edwin, I hope I did a better job explaining that to you, but none of the 8 teams who participated were the host institution, so it was not up to them to certify it. And with FAMU being the only men's Division I team, I'm gonna be honest with you, it probably got overlooked. If this had been 4 Division I teams in this event, it probably would have been something that would have been higher on the radar for the people who were organizing this event. I hope I answered your question there, Edwin.
Let me ask you a question, Drew, because something that I did read in one of those messages that you sent me. Would this event be helped if, say, Orlando, the closest HBCU is Bethune-Cookman? So if Bethune-Cookman if the promoter had gone to Bethune to sort of be a host of this event, like, the promoter saying, hey, I've got the facility, I've got the partnership with Disney, I got all this stuff, but I need you as the Division I institution be the host. Would that have helped? Could that have resolved some of the issues that occurred?
Yes, because Bethune-Cookman would have been more heavily involved in the process. So yes, you are correct with that. If they would have done that. Now, one last thing before we move on, because we done beat this to death. Next year, when they come with the 32 game limit, this will not matter because you will no longer have to certify events as multiple team events. So this is a 1 year blip on the radar, a 1 year anomaly that fell through the cracks of the black and white of the rule book. And that's what those people in compliance get paid to know. Just like I pay my attorney to keep me out of trouble. And if I get in trouble, it's his fault, not mine. If I gave him all the documentation that he needs, it's the same thing. Let's move on to, before we move on to a bowl game that we know the opponents and who's going to play. There are 4 teams on the FBS level who said no to bowl games. They refuse to participate. And Bryan, one of them is your team. Notre Dame, Kansas State, Iowa State, and Baylor decided to opt out of playing in bowl games that are not a part of the playoffs. And I'm picking this up from Athlon Sports. So the college 2025 college football playoff field was unveiled on ESPN Sunday. Indiana, Ohio State, Georgia, Texas Tech, Oregon, Ole Miss, Texas A&M, Alabama, Oklahoma, Miami, Tulane, and James Madison will make up the 12-team field. It started with Notre Dame was the first to opt out, followed by Kansas State, followed by Iowa State, and the last team to opt out is Baylor. Statement from Baylor: we have declined the opportunity to play in a bowl as we've already progressed deeply into the all-season timeline of preparedness for the 2026 season. So
True.
I kind of figured this would be a result of the 12-team playoff. But one team, we've already had our playoffs on the FCS level. Now it's bowl season, everybody. And the participants are now set for the 2025 wrong graphic, Cricket Celebration Bowl. So great game yesterday. Prairie View defeated Jackson State by a score of 23-21. Prairie View came out early, got the first touchdown. Jackson State quickly responded. Prairie View was going down again. Jackson State defense held Prairie View to 3 field goals. Actually took the lead late before Jackson State before Prairie View was able to come back and win the game. Cameron Peters on the day, 17 of 28, 294 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 INT. Jacoby Morgan was only 2 of 6 on the day for 4 yards with the longer 2, but he did rush the ball 2 times for 28 yards and 1 touchdown. And it was on that touchdown play where he apparently re-injured the foot that he had injured earlier this year, which forced Jared Lockhart to come off of the bench, came out of the bullpen, went 6 of 9 for 156 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 INT. And fellas, great entertaining game. Great drive there in the fourth quarter by Prairie View. A drive that took up almost, let me see if I could get this, that took up 9 minutes and 36 seconds. They got all the way down on the JSU 1-yard line before they fumbled the ball, and the defense came out and held the Tigers. Fellas, everybody on this podcast has seen it. The Jackson State faithful have been rather quiet in the chat rooms tonight after being a little vocal this morning on Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. But I want to give you guys an opportunity to to comment on the game. We're going to start with our guest, Mr. Stephen J. Gaither.
Yeah, well, like I said, I'll be honest with you, yesterday I was at a family event, but obviously still keeping eyes on this game. And I was in the middle of pulling up the family photo album on my computer when my uncle told me about this. So, it's just, Jackson State all year, has been the front runner. I'm a voter for the FCS stats FCS poll, and they've been in the poll all year. Even with the loss, they've maintained in there. And I don't know. I guess at this point, you expect them to win. I think I saw it correctly that this is the first time that the home team has actually lost since the SWAC has gone to this format of having the higher seed take the lead. So. I expected Jackson State to pull it out, but you figure with the inexperience at quarterback and just the injuries, it's going to be a little bit. It wasn't going to be maybe as easy as people thought it was going to be, and give all the credit that you can to Tremaine Jackson and his staff. I mean, all year, when he came in, people were like, "Well, this ain't D2." All of that stuff. We talked about that already. Even though Chinnis Berry last year showed us that you can come in from D2 in year one and get it cooking. We heard about how the Jackson State, Alabama State game was not only the SWAC game of the year, some people said the decade even, but how basically Prairie View shouldn't even be there. So, you take all that as fuel to the fire. They come into Jackson, which I'm sure was a hostile environment for them. It's one of the great environments. I love going to games at JSU for sure. So, they literally came from Texas, them against the world, and they came out victorious. And obviously, this is something that, a year ago to this day, I believe, A.D., if I'm not mistaken, that was when Valdosta State lost in the national championship, and Tremaine Jackson was introduced. Well, as announced, the news broke that he would be the head coach. So just to see where this program has come in a year is super amazing. With that Jackson State machine, they've had things rolling. Minus the year that you guys clipped them. So it's I think it was good for HBCU football that it was a tightly contested game. And that, we saw, everybody, the foregone conclusion that a lot of people thought that they had for a lot of this season is no longer there. And we'll see both these guys in Atlanta. So I'm excited. To see some fresh blood. I'll be honest.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if it was a year ago today, Steve, but I know on this date in 1941 was the day that will live in infamy. I don't know how many of you guys actually realize that this is Pearl Harbor Day. Mm-hmm. So, my grandfather fought in World War II. I'm pretty sure a lot of our grandparents or great grandparents did fight in World War II. So, shout out to those people who gave the ultimate sacrifice, or for those who came home during that particular war. But Bryan, that was a terrible segue by me as a host. So
absolutely awful. I thought you were going to go.
People died in the oceans, but yes.
And so did Jackson State's hopes yesterday. But anyway, Bryan.
Oh Lord have mercy! I thought you were going to go with yesterday will live as a day in infamy for Jackson State fans. I thought that's where you were going with that. But anyways, yes, it was a horrible transition, Drew. Horrible.
At least I recognize, man. Bryan, save me. Save me, man.
I don't know. I'm going to try. I'm going to get in trouble myself, probably.
The ship is down. The ship is down.
Oh, well, there you go, Steve. Look at you talking about a ship going down. Come on now. But anyway, look, you know how I look at things. I look at things when I saw the line. The opening line was Jackson State as an 8.5-point favorite. Big bells went off right there. I was like, what? We've got the number. We talked about this being the best in the new SWAC, the expansion SWAC. This is the best championship game that we have had.
on
a
paper.
true number one versus number two, with all respect to Alabama State, who is probably somewhere in that mix of 1, 2, and 3, right? We'd all say that there is a 2 tiers in the SWAC. There's those 3 teams and then everybody else. All right. So I was shocked to see 8.5 points. And I told people I would be floored if if Jackson State beat this team by more than a touchdown. If they beat Prairie View by more than a touchdown, I would be shocked. Now, I didn't have enough guts to put it on the money line, which was like plus 250. But I was definitely on the plus 8.5 and the under 53.5, because these are the 1 and 2 best defenses in the SWAC. And you saw for the better part of this game, you saw the best 2 defenses in the SWAC, right? And there were the moments that Prairie View was able to find a hole, so to speak, in the armor and chink in the armor of Jackson State, where they were able to score. And that was basically chiseled out by a man by the name of Cam Peters, who did some amazing things, right? The time of possession, when I look at just some interesting stats that I looked at, nearly 39
besides the
minutes.
fact that he rushed the ball 24 times for 100 yards and a touchdown.
Look, I hadn't even got to that. I think the third down efficiency. Now, I know 10 for 21 doesn't sound great, but it's still pretty good compared to 2 for 10. I mean, so we're talking 10 of 21 is nearly 50%, folks, just under 50% versus 20% by Jackson State.
Can I stop right there, Brian? The fact that you had twice as many third downs, you converted more third downs. You converted as many third downs as they had.
Yes.
And you kept the clock moving.
And you kept the clock moving, which speaks to having nearly 39 minutes versus 21 minutes. So essentially what you did is with a team like Jackson State, a run-based team. Now, again, the number, 2 rushing offense in all of FCS football. The number 1 rushing offense in the SWAC. A better rushing team than they were a year ago. You basically shortened the game up on them and forced them to have to do the one little thing that Jackson State's offense doesn't do really well, especially not without Jacoby and Morgan, is passing the ball. You took that away from them. And I thought that was great to see for Prairie View. They held Jackson State rushing to 84 yards. Outside of that FBS game that Jackson State played, and I don't know what the numbers were, I don't know if anybody held Jackson State under 100 yards all season, other than maybe that FBS team they played. I don't know the stats, so somebody.
I'm sorry. I'm thinking of Alabama State, but yeah, I was thinking of them against UAB. But yeah, it's nobody else did that.
So that was like some key stats that stood out to me. Now, and still, the Prairie View driving for the knockout punch on a long drive and then fumbling. I was thinking to myself, how I'm gonna use this word loosely. Sometimes in order to win a title, there needs to be a little bit of luck on your side, right? There needs to be some good things need to happen. So don't get mad at me when I say this, but man, Jackson State, how many times can they keep coming up making a play like to just save a season, save a game? And so I thought when they forced that fumble, I'm like, oh God, here comes the Jackson State second half. Here they come. I had even sprinkled a little on Jackson State to win, because at that point I was thinking they might win this thing actually, because they were plus money to win in the second half. And and Prairie View's defense showed up. And yes, they were more physical. They were very disciplined for the most part. Both teams had 8 penalties, so kind of it is what it is. So kudos to Prairie View for being able to overcome that particular play where you got a chance to really kind of knock Jackson State out, but you fumbled it. And then the last thing I want to mention, because I saw a couple of people talk about that Jacoby and Morgan should have started. Should he have started? I bet if TC Taylor is being truthful and honest with anybody who asked him, I bet he wrestled with that decision for probably about 48 hours leading up to the game.
Well, I mean, it's potentially his last game in college. Yeah, you know,
exactly.
And you know, if he was clear, he wants to play.
Right.
And
so how do you not give the ball to the guy who has meant so much to your program, so much to your early coaching career at Jackson State? How do you not give him an opportunity? Right. And so when he made that scramble, and even before he made that scramble, he didn't look himself. And I saw Mr. Campbell, I saw Steve Campbell. I enjoyed watching their live watch party. They were talking about this. He didn't look himself, and I wasn't sure that he could run. And right as everybody was saying, I don't think he can run, he breaks off a run, and you're like, oh my God, who is this guy? And then he comes up hobbled, and you're like, oh, did he sacrifice himself to give his team that tie at 7-7? Because we didn't see him after that. He didn't play anymore after he scored that touchdown. He was done. His day was over. So those are tough decisions that coaches have to make. And I know you can look at it and say, I would have stayed with Lockhart unless Lockhart had a situation and then you bring in Morgan as the backup. But I certainly understand going to Morgan to start that game. And, you can't take away from him. The kid wanted to go for it. That was a nice run, a great run. I didn't think he'd get there, but he did. And, he paid the price. And that was the end of his season.
His college career.
Yeah, last play of his college career. He sold out. He went all out. And, unfortunately, the rest of that game didn't go Jackson State's way. But all credit to Prairie View A&M, the best defensive team in the SWAC, hands down. They stepped up when they had to.
Yeah, definitely. Which now we have. Look, I don't know how good the game is going to be on Saturday, everybody, and I think it is going to be a damn good game. But the game is going to almost be anticlimactic when we have to deal with the press conferences of these two characters, these two individuals, because I think this is the Super Bowl of media, Super Bowl of sound bites with Tremaine Jackson and one Chennis Berry. I don't know which one is a better motivational speaker, because kids will run through the wall for either one of these two guys. Fellas, before we even get into the game, let's just talk about these two coaches, their stories. 2 years ago, Chennis Berry is coaching Division II ball. Last year, Tremaine Jackson is coaching Division II ball. Tremaine Jackson takes a team, Colorado Mesa, a team that had not been doing so hot, got them to the playoffs, goes to Valdosta State. And if anybody understands the pressure cooker at Valdosta State is like Alabama or Ohio State on the Division II level.
He was the first black coach in the conference's history.
Yes. I hadn't even got that far, Steve, but yes, thank you. It was 2023. And you are the first African American head coach in the Gulf South Conference.
R.I.P.
So, but maybe that's why he died. Who knows? But anyway, did I say that out loud?
You did.
Damn, I gotta stop doing that. Anyway, but instead he gets to the national championship game. less than 365 days later, he will be going to another national championship game This time, the HBCU National Championship game that we call the Cricket Celebration Bowl. Chennis Berry, the winner of 30 consecutive conference games over 2 divisions, over 2 conferences. Fellas, let's talk about these coaches. You started off this time, Bryan.
It just goes to show that what any good administrative leader at a FCS school should be looking at is how coaches build programs. Not just what they say, but how they do it. And if you watched how not only Tremaine Jackson went from his first year at Valdosta State to was he there for 3 or 2 years?
2 years.
What he went from his first year to his second year.
It was 3.
Okay. I thought it was 3.
Okay.
That's even better because here's why. Look at what he did in year 1 to year 3. Look at what Chennis Berry did from year 1 at Benedict to year 3. The process that those 2 men took to get to their level of success can be replicated at your FCS school. So, there are schools that are in the hunt or may be in the hunt for college coaches. And I think it's eye-opening to see what Chennis Berry has done and what Tremaine Jackson has done, because it shouldn't be a surprise. I'm not surprised that Tremaine Jackson is there. Is he there a little bit ahead of schedule? Sure, I think so, right? But the process of how you make a good meal is there. Those men have it. All they needed to get is the right ingredients. And they brought some staff with them. They brought some ingredients with them. And then they took what other people already had in place and they turned that into something. So let that be a wake-up call to some of these schools out here that are looking or will be looking for coaches, because these 2 guys are great examples that you can come from the Division II level and you can lead an FCS program to the highest of heights, because their process of how they do what they do works and they're proven. So that's what's so fun and entertaining, and that's what really should be talked about, is the 3-year journey for both of them at the Division II level, and how they found success at a very high level at Benedict and Valdosta, and how they turned that success to success at an FCS school at South Carolina State and Prairie View A&M.
Well, and it also helps, Bryan, that they're not at an institution who likes to fire their coach after they have success in year 1 and fire them in year 2. Steve, I'm sorry, I wasn't supposed to go there. What you got to say, man?
I think, Bryan hit on all the major points, but, I will say, you talk about, I'm really looking forward to this, again, as someone who follows all levels of HBCU football, but obviously D2, again, you hear these things as far as D2 coaches and, people, even in the HBCU world, a lot of times there's a little bit of this is D2, blah, blah, blah. But, obviously last year what Chennis Berry did, getting to this point, losing to Jackson State, but getting to this point. And then you look at Tremaine Jackson this year, both of these guys, I think Bryan did a great job painting that picture. So I'm looking forward to the press conferences. But even before that, I'm looking forward to Thursday night, I think it is, when the two teams match up, 2 teams show up at the College Football Hall of Fame, if that's going to happen again this year. That's one of my favorite moments. Last year got a chance to see that up close and personal. Both teams kind of fill each other out and everything like that. So, but I think it's great. Like I said, like we talked about earlier, there's so many ways now that, you can fill a coaching vacancy. You can look for, an NFL guy and plug them in right away. And we've seen people have success there. But then, there still are coaches that, come up through the ranks and are able to build their programs. And yes, they can work at the FCS, HBCU level as well. So again, Dr. Alvin Parker and also Maurice Flowers, take them away from the CIAA. I'm just kidding. No, it's but there's some really good program builders out here. So I'm excited to see both of them, and good for both fan bases. People like to give Prairie View A&M a lot of smoke. I don't know a lot of Prairie View A&M alumni, but I'm looking forward to seeing what their energy is like. There's only so many teams you can get in the MEAC. And so, South Carolina State keeps showing up. So I enjoy their energy. Looking forward to seeing how they match the energy there. And Atlanta should be a blast. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm glad I waited till after the Jackson State game to book my room. The rates did go down a little bit. So, I'm excited.
Shame on you, Steve. You should have had your room booked months ago. And for all those folks from Jackson State,
I'm glad it's not Thursday. To be honest with you,
why y'all turning in y'all rooms? This is the Super Bowl. You should be there no matter if your team is there or not. Support the SWAC, support the MEAC, support your conference. Get your tickets now. Go to Cricket Celebration Bowl. Go to the celebrationbowl.com. Get your tickets. They still have plenty of ticket packages available. And Steve, speaking of rooms, there's still plenty of rooms under $150 for this event this weekend. Plenty of tickets under $150 per. Plenty of rooms for under $150 per night. Those of y'all flying out of Dallas or Houston into Atlanta, round trips under $300. Sounds like a plan to me, Steve. I don't know about you, Brian.
Drew, did those tickets open up after all the Jackson State people canceled? Is that what happened? Did those tickets open up to those hotels?
No,
because I'm sure there had to be a lot of hotels that opened up availability.
Those prices were already like that, Brian.
Oh, okay.
Those hotel prices were already there, the $139 to $149 range. There were plenty of prices that were still there. At that, obviously some of them are closer, some of them are further, but everything's a reasonable drive into downtown Atlanta. Hey, Steve, I'm just to put you on the spot. In addition to the football game this Saturday, we've got another event coming up Friday,
right?
That you have been so gracious enough as to provide us updates and information all year long. So I'm going to give you a few moments to talk about the band of the year and what it was like for you to be able to keep the public informed about the rankings, the voting. And I'm pretty sure you took some heat also, and all you did was regurgitate the information that was given to you. But I'm pretty sure you got some comments about some of the rankings also.
Yeah, I've just accepted that's my light in life. Just take the heat. So it is what it is. Now, it's first off, I definitely want to thank John Grant, the executive director of the MEAC SWAC Challenge and the Celebration Bowl, both of them by Cricket, for giving HBCU Game Day the opportunity to be the media outlet to debut the rankings on a monthly basis since last year. Since the inaugural event 2 years ago. So it's a huge honor for us. And so definitely take pride in it. And it definitely, it's fun when I get the rankings and I'm like, oh, I kind of already know what's going to happen on social media. So when I saw the finalists, I was like, oh, this is going to be fun. This is going to, this is going to be fun when you talk about Virginia State and North Carolina A&T, who were, number one all year, but they were not in the rankings. Although And, early in the year when, Mr. Grant, kind of told me about the changes that were going to go on, I was like, okay, we're going to do everything we can to educate the folks on how the process is going to work, how it's changing, how it's evolving this year. And, we have done that from the very beginning, telling people that once you get in the top 5, things are going to change and, everybody's going to be kind of viewed the same. I guess people either didn't read it, which doesn't shock me at all, or they just totally ignored it. And then, we see how things changed up. And then obviously, I don't know, it's just been interesting, even with the schools who decided to opt out of this. That has also fed this event, as they say, all publicity is good publicity for the most part. So yeah, EA, I'm a judge. Yep, I'm a judge. I'm only grading the marching 100. So there we go. But it's it's definitely exciting. I love this event. The fact that it does give a chance for the Division II ranks. So we've had Virginia State the first couple of years as well. They're not here this year, but there's Miles College, who's the defending champion on the Division II level. I got a chance to witness them last year, and their band director, Mr. Snipes, he talked about how important this was to him. And so Fayetteville State, we're used to knocking them around, but they got a little bit of money over there in Cumberland County. So their band, they've made some improvements. If you like those colors and all of that stuff. But the Marching Bronco Express, we call them the Diet Red Sea of Sound. I'm just kidding. They are, they're excited as well. So I love the excitement on the Division II ranks because, a lot of the Division I's, they've already got a lot of national acclaim. And so, again, you saw some of them opting out. Nobody from Division II was opting out at all. So excited for them. And then obviously we've got, FAMU's coming back as the defending champion. They took down North Carolina A&T last year. So, we'll see.
Give me that goofy grin again, Steve. Do that goofy grin again. Do that goofy grin again when you said that. And I see Troy is still throwing a fit there. So FAMU back as well, and then Southern. I really love Southern being in this. I'm gonna be real with you. My 2 favorite bands are Southern and Norfolk State. So Norfolk State hasn't gotten there yet, but I'm happy to see Southern there. Love the Human Jukebox. Besides, I love the media team, even though they step in front of me every time, just like every other media team does. So maybe I'll just go up to the top this year. But Human Jukebox, there's been a lot of talk and discussion from certain corners that say, oh, well, this is for a MEAC band, or this is for an East Coast band, that a SWAC band, and no, they don't mean, and they don't mean FAMU. This is their words. They mean a real SWAC band would not get a chance again to be in the running. And so, and I just remember we had the introductory press conference at the start of the year. A.D., I appreciate all your help as well. I remember I asked the band director over at Southern, is this a goal for them? Obviously, we didn't know exactly what was going to happen with, their neighbors to the east, but, they said that, they would love to get here, and now they're here, and who's to say they can't win it all? And then what will the naysayers say if they happen to win it all, So, you're never going to be able to make everybody happy in this. Bands are tough, from the start of HBCU game day, I always understood that bands are important. I'm not a band person myself per se. I have picked up some things other in the years, but one of the things for me was always tough is like, how can you grade things and stuff like that? But obviously they've come up with a system that they have, and it's tough. You're never going to make everybody happy, but I think this is a good event. And best of all these bands are going to get paid. They're going to get money. And I know some people don't think they need it. Well, hopefully you're not selling fish shapes, plates, and sandwiches to get where you need to go.
But I know these bands are happy that they're in it, and we'll see what happens. It's a great event. I'm looking forward to it.
Before I pass on to Brian, I just got 3 quick comments. You talk about the money, Steve. I need people to think about it like this. And we've got bands that perform all over the world, the Rose Bowl parade, Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade, etc., etc. But you know what, everybody? They have to raise money to go to those events. They don't get paid to go to those events. They are getting paid to go to this event, everybody. So, wow, you may not think it's important. You may think the judging is bogus or whatever. These bands are getting paid to go to this event. Every other event they participate in, these other Battle of the Bands, these parades and things like that, 9 times out of 10, they're having to raise money. Like you say, Steve, selling chicken plates. That's number 1. Number 2, I need you guys to think about how these teams got here. And we're sports fans. We're all familiar with the AAU process. All those rankings you did such a great job putting out, Steve. It was like pool play at an AAU basketball tournament. It's pool play. Brian, you know this. We didn't coach AAU basketball. You do what you want to in pool play. Now it's bracket play. That's what it was once you got to the top 5. It was bracket play. And now these are the 2 teams that are beating in the championship game. And number 3, there have been 2 bands who have started the year in Atlanta and finished the year in Atlanta. Those 2 bands are facing each other for the Division I Band of the Year championship. Florida A&M started the year in 2024 in Atlanta, finished the year in 2024 in Atlanta. Southern started 2025 in Atlanta and finished the year 2025 in Atlanta. We're going to see who brings home the championship this year. Brian, your comments on Band of the Year.
Well, first off, it's great to see institutions that accept being judged. First off, secondly, I have no expectation of Florida A&M winning this. I'm going to be a bit of a conspiracy theorist about this. And this is Southern's to lose. That's what I'm telling you now. This is Southern's to lose. And I say that as good and as dominant of a performance that I expect from Florida A&M. In the back of my mind, I'm going to play conspiracy theorists like some of y'all in the chat room love to do, right? I firmly believe, because like what you said, Steve, the old SWAC, right? The SWAC bands, this is for them. This is their opportunity. This is their opportunity. Southern is standing up for the reputation of the SWAC bands, the boom who don't want to be here, the marching gold. Well, Prairie View's band is they got activities and things to do.
Ocean of Soul.
The Ocean of Soul for all the SWAC bands that are worth the doggone. The famed Grambling State Tiger Band, all them old SWAC bands, right? This is for them. Southern is standing on business for y'all. And in order to keep this thing alive and to give those, especially the boom, to give them hope for another year, Southern needs to win this. So it's Southern's to lose. They're the one with the pressure. Florida A&M already got one of these. We don't want every particular title, any judging recognition. We didn't want it all. This is Southern's time. So it's Southern's to lose. Now, with that said, it don't take but one little flub for the door to be open and FAMU for to take it. I'd be curious to see if both defending champions repeat. I don't think it'll happen. I would love to see it happen. I don't think it'll happen, but I expect a good show either way. And, hopefully people tune in. If you're not going to be going to the show live, make sure you tune in to watch it. Where can they watch it, guys?
So on ESPN, I believe it's on 3, Steve. Am I correct on that?
If 3 is still a thing.
It's on digital. It's got a
it's digital. It's on digital.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's on the ESPN app. Get the app.
Yeah. So I like I said, I expect a good show. And then we'll go from there. We'll see what happens. But I think it's good to see. I'm a little sensitive when it comes to rankings and all that stuff right now. So don't ask me my opinions about rankings because you can't rank somebody and then all of a sudden at the last minute pull the
pool play, Brian. It was pool play. The rankings were pool play.
You can't rank somebody and then pull the ball from them like Lucy on to Charlie Brown. At the last minute, right as you're coming up, you can't just yank the ball out and say, "Oh no, you've been moved down." So
Brian,
I actually
pool play.
Okay, pool play. But see, nobody ever that's the problem. The problem is transparency in all of these, and I still don't know if people understand. Just like we don't understand what the hell the CFP show and selection and all the hell they do. What a mess that is. But just, I don't know if people really understand how the rankings work. I know you guys try to do a great job with it, Steve, every week, or it's not even every week. It's like how many times during the year?
It's every month, September, October, November.
Okay.
But,
so
and just again, just pulling the veil behind the veil back a little bit. Because of the time of the year for this event, there are some things that are required for the bands. In terms of housing, in terms of and things like that, and the first couple years when they did the first 2. Sometimes there are some challenges, right? Sometimes some schools are more ready than others. Not saying that was the situation here, but I do know some schools are more ready than others. Some people, and so I think what happened is they wanted to make sure they had a bigger pool, a bigger pool. So they weren't just waiting on the top 2, you know what I mean? So there was a lot of behind the scenes thing there. But again, they did say from the beginning of the year, top 5 all equal. So hate it or love it. It wasn't that it wasn't that it wasn't possible. So no, it's not gonna make anybody feel well at A&T or NCAT or VSU, but that's kind of where we are.
Gotcha. Also want to let everybody know there are 2 great high school bands who are here. Westlake and New Manchester. And those who do not know the story of how important this is to the high school bands, the defending high school champion did not repeat and did not come back because they will be performing in London right after this event. So their equipment is being shipped overseas. So they had no equipment to perform. But the reason they got that appearance in London was largely due to them winning the high school division of the Band of the Year. So to say this event does not matter, it matters both for our colleges and
good for them.
Our high schools.
Good.
Yeah. So we've been here a long time. It's time for us to get ready to get out of here. So it's time for our parting shots. So Steve, we're gonna start with you. Anything you want to get out there before we head off this show?
Just really excited. This is obviously the Celebration Bowl this weekend. I've been blessed to be at every one in person and cover them all from the beginning. And so looking forward to it. I think we're going to get a great game. Also, but just, it's something I look forward to every year. It's built into my schedule. And And so I'm excited about that. And then obviously tomorrow down the road at Winston-Salem State, they're going to have the introductory press conference for our new head coach. So I know a lot of us are pretty excited about that. So looking forward to it. And also got a couple other interviews this week, including with the president of Livingstone, Dr. Davis, who is who has fully recovered from his kidney transplant. So we're working on getting that interview done. One of the great stories of the year too. So a lot going on at the end of this year, but I'm just excited and appreciate the opportunity to come in and talk with you guys. I approached A.D. Drew and asked, could I come on? He was gracious enough to allow me to come on. So I'm sure some of the FAMU faction may not want to see me back again, but I enjoyed it. So
yeah, I will make a confession, Steve. About 2 hours before you sent me that text, Bryan had sent me a text like, I will be late coming on the show tonight. See if you can find somebody else to come on, or let's push the show time back an hour. And then I'll be doggone if you don't send me a text, man. So, hey, God works in mysterious ways, man. So he must have knew I needed some help tonight and sent you my way, man. So we do appreciate you for being on. Bryan, what you got for us, man?
Before I talk about the upcoming Celebration Bowl, I'm gonna take a little sidebar. You had sidebarred earlier talking about the college football playoffs, and you all know, growing up in Indiana, where I was raised, I keep telling people Indiana is now a football state officially. I told y'all last year when we had 2 teams in the playoffs, and Florida and Alabama had 0. Right. This year is the market correction. This is the establishment taking it out on a football state. And so I know while a lot of people think that the fact that Notre Dame chose to opt out of playing in a bowl game is some major news, I came across this great tweet by somebody that I follow who follows the Vegas markets. And this is the tweet. I'm gonna just read it and I'm gonna move on to my celebration tape. Sums it up perfectly. Y'all are hypocrites on Notre Dame opting out. ... If your company told you for weeks you'd be getting a promotion as long as you showed up and did your job, only to give it to someone else at the last minute they said was inferior, would you show up to the optional Christmas party? So I'm gonna just leave that there. Me personally, I wouldn't show up. Now, some of y'all might, but I wouldn't. So I'm on to 2026. We on to 2026, and I hope Indiana football runs through everybody and wins the national championship. Now, with that said, as I look at our HBCU national,
one thing who Signetti didn't run through? Winston-Salem State in 2012. Connell Manor beat him. So
well said. On to the Celebration Bowl. South Carolina State at Prairie View. What's interesting is Prairie View, something to keep in mind, and I don't know what the opening number will be. Prairie View is now 9-3 against the spread this season. South Carolina State 6-6. Looking at Massey ratings, early prediction of the game, the computer metrics say that South Carolina State will win this game by a score of 28-24. So a margin of 3.5. So the question is, will South Carolina State be a favorite when the opening numbers come out probably sometime Thursday? I will tell you that if South Carolina State is, which I honestly would be surprised if they are, but I think they will be, I can't wait to get behind the dogs this time. I'm gonna be barking all weekend. I'm gonna be wearing. I don't wear purple and gold, but I got a shirt via my friend Dr. Cavill. I lost a bet to him, and I got one Prairie View A&M shirt, and I may have to wear it this weekend because I'm gonna be backing those dogs and who will be in Atlanta in the land of purple and gold. And I'm telling you now, watch out for the underdogs. They will be the underdogs. Not the Bulldogs, the underdogs. They will be the underdogs. I think they will be the underdogs according to the Vegas number. Because I do think that they look at these data, the computer metrics when they make these opening numbers, and then of course money will move the line one way or the other. But South Carolina State is a higher rated team. And so I expect them to come in at about a 3.5 point favorite. I'm all over that. Prairie View, I'm all over. I'm rolling with the hot team right now. And so I'll be back in Prairie View this weekend. But I expect a good game. And like you guys said, I can't wait to see the coverage this week, and hopefully we all get behind and support this game and these teams, and somehow try to put our pettiness to the side for a few days at least. Good luck with that.
While I cannot dive into the game this week, for obvious reasons, because I am on staff for the Cricket Celebration Bowl and the Red Lobster Band of the Year. I am a little bit sad, fellas. It's been 16 weeks, fellas. And it comes to an end no matter who wins on Saturday. About 3:30 Eastern time, we'll be having a press conference. Mm-hmm. The last shall be first, and the first shall be last. Well, if you do not want to be the first one into the post-game press conference, those who do not know, the losing team always goes first. Remember I said the last shall be first and the first shall be last. So you want to be the last team to talk to the media for the 2025 season in an official capacity. Who will that be? We don't know. But what I can tell you, we have two great coaches. We have two great institutions. And I am just so excited for this game on this Saturday. I need some other people to get excited with me.
I'm excited, Drew. I'm excited. Let's go.
If you are in Atlanta, if you're within a 2-hour ride of Atlanta, gas your car up and get here. Mm-hmm. If you are not within that and you are not financially able to get here to Atlanta to have your butt in a seat for Friday night and or Saturday morning, afternoon, turn on your TV, your phone, your tablet, your computer, whatever device you need to, and watch. What will be the attendance, fellas? Don't answer that right now.
I don't want to get in trouble.
What will be the viewership? That's probably even more important. How many eyeballs will we have on this game? This is the opening of the new Coca-Cola Bowl season. The Coca-Cola Bowl season opens in the home of Coca-Cola. And two HBCUs get to open the first Coca-Cola Bowl season. The first time a corporate sponsor has ever been allowed to attach their name to the entire bowl season. How special is that, y'all? That we get to be the first ones to open this up. There's only one first time, everybody. You remember your first time? One of these teams on Saturday will remember their first time that they opened the Coca-Cola Bowl season.
What if you had a bad first time? Do you forget it?
There will be one team that's going to have that bad first time, Brian. I'm sorry.
Never happened. Not over here.
Oh, man. Steve, plugs, last time.
Yeah, make sure you guys follow HBCU Game Day on all the platforms. And if you so choose, follow me on Twitter at Stephen J. Gaither. And also my WSSU page, WSSU Ram Nation.
All right. Bryan, plugs.
Make sure to check out the ONG Strike Zone on Wednesday. Talking all things FAMU, 8 o'clock Eastern, 7 Central. We got a lot to talk about. I'm
no
sure
Monday night review?
No Monday night review this Monday. I think we're gonna try to get back to the review the following Monday. We got to do an end of the season review. We got to lay out and wait to see how some things develop.
Maybe a press conference. Maybe I won't be the only one at an introductory press conference this week. Who knows?
Stop it.
Just saying.
I don't know anything.
Good Ram time over here.
I know nothing. So, yes. So, Wednesday, 8 o'clock Eastern, 7 Central. So we look forward to talking. And did you see those poll results? Shout out to everybody who answered in the poll. Another reason why I'm telling you South Carolina State's gonna be a favorite. The public's gonna be on South Carolina State. Y'all go ahead and keep put your money where your mouth is. I'm back in the purple and gold.
All right there. Wow, man, this has been such a great pleasure, fellas, with you guys joining us here on the BCSN Sports Wrap. Also, tomorrow, 11 o'clock Eastern, the coaches have their first press conference. It's a Zoom press conference. Many members of the media will be there, so look for people to drop stories on their Zoom press conference tomorrow. Bryan, who drops the first sound? Who drops the most interesting soundbite in tomorrow's press conference? Who you got, Bryan?
Tremaine Jackson by a wide margin, because Chinnisberry has been here before. Now, if anything, it'll be interesting to see how people address the Chinnisberry big game story, because he is now 0 for 3.
0-3
in the last 3 years. So that's an interesting storyline.
We're just gonna go 1-0. That's all.
There you go. See, there you go. So the least interesting guy in the room is gonna be Chinnisberry because he's been there before.
Who drops the most interesting line tomorrow, Steve?
I'm gonna go with Tremaine. I'm gonna go with him. He'll be the most meme worthy. Yeah, we're just gonna get. We know we're gonna get from Chinnis 1-0 and go Dogs. And the preparation and the perspiration and the elevation and the elevators and all of that good stuff.
Every other Asian. So, but whoever it is, it's all coach speak, because the real thing happens Saturday. So with that, it's time to pick up this show and get out of here, everybody. Thank y'all for joining us here on another Sunday night. You could have been anywhere, and you could have been watching anybody, but you chose to spend it with us and to watch it with us. So for our guest, Stephen J. Gaither, for my co-host, Bryan Fulford, this is A.D. Drew. We see you in Atlanta Friday night, Saturday afternoon. Thank y'all for coming out.
Atlanta.
Travel light, everybody.
Of the purple and gold. Better be there.
Well, holla, everybody. Travel light.